Chapter 35:19. Mechanical Life Bang. 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 The battle between Zhuan and Hei Long had reached its climax. Both sides were displaying their abilities. Violent energy spread out, causing some of the matter in the surroundings to disappear. The black lightning domain was even more terrifying. As far as the eye could see, it was filled with black lightning that rumbled endlessly. Zhuan's gaze became serious. Purple light filled his body as a terrifying aura erupted from his body. Before this, Hei Long had been suppressed by him. But now, he knew that Hei Long was going to go all out. This made him cautious and did not dare to be careless. Hei Long roared. The surrounding black lightning domain suddenly shrank and entered Hei Long's body, causing Hei Long's aura to reach an unprecedented level. The black dragon's pitch-black eyes stared emotionlessly at Zhuan. Soon after, it shot out like an arrow and arrived in front of Zhuan in the blink of an eye. Hei Long's aura was too powerful. Wherever he passed, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. Black lightning constantly exploded, dazzling people and making it difficult to look at. Moreover, Zhuan discovered that as Hei Long's aura continued to increase, the aura of the shattered divine power in his body became even stronger. Zhuan did not dare to be careless. He knew that Hei Long was going to use his ultimate move. Its power was definitely extraordinary. Meanwhile, Zhuan stirred the energy around him. In an instant, purple light soared into the sky, forming a purple pillar that connected heaven and earth. Zhuan circulated the primordial chant and used his full strength. He threw out a punch, which was like a purple sun that could not be looked at directly. Rumble! Hei Long arrived in front of Zhuan in an instant. His huge dragon claws whistled through the air, bringing with them terrifying black lightning that crackled endlessly. When the fist and claw collided, a terrifying energy ripple exploded. Layer upon layer, it was as if the entire space was shattered by these terrifying ripples. Immediately after, the space around them began to collapse inch by inch. Moreover, this destruction was continuous. It continued to spread in all directions, causing the surrounding space to become a deathly black. It was as if a drop of ink had been dropped in this space. The ink spread in all directions and dyed the surroundings black. Retreat! Retreat! In the distance, the merchant caravan that was watching from the side panicked when they saw the darkness that was constantly spreading. The old man standing on the deck even shouted loudly for the merchant caravan to quickly retreat. The darkness spread too quickly and covered an extremely wide area. He had no doubt that if they were enveloped by the darkness, they would definitely die. The caravan quickly retreated. Only after retreating to a safe distance did everyone relax. Many people's backs were already drenched in sweat. Grandpa! Who will win? The young girl beside the old man was also shocked by this scene and could not help but ask the old man beside her. These two are both half-step heaven-shattering realm peerless powerhouses. When they were fighting, I actually couldn't see clearly. The old man's face was slightly red. Although Zhuan and the black dragon were fighting fiercely, the two's radiance was really too dazzling. The old man's cultivation was far inferior to the two, and his divine sense was also limited. Therefore, he was unable to clearly see the two's specific battle situation. The young girl's cherry lips curled slightly, but her beautiful eyes looked into the darkness, revealing yearning and reverence. She did not think that half-step heaven-shattering realm powerhouses were actually so powerful. She had always grown up under the old man's protection. In the past, she naively thought that her grandfather was the pinnacle powerhouse, and no one was her grandfather's match. But now, she knew that she was a frog in a well. In the eyes of half-step heaven-shattering realm powerhouses, everyone was ants, including her grandfather. I also want to become that kind of powerhouse. In the future, Grandpa, you don't have to protect me, but I'll protect you, the young girl said with a smile. The old man rubbed the young girl's head and said, "It's enough that you have this intention. But half-step heaven-shattering realm is seriously too far." The old man had not finished speaking when he suddenly discovered that the darkness ahead was rapidly fading away. Subsequently, they also finally saw clearly everything that happened in the depths of the darkness. Only to see a figure emitting a purple light all over, standing above the natural chasm. And what made everyone dumbstruck was that under this figure's feet was an incomparably huge black dragon. At this moment, the black dragon was dripping with blood. Many of the dragon scales that suffused with a metallic luster were rolled up and flipped open, revealing the bloody flesh inside. What was strange was that the black dragon's blood was black. Even the flesh that was exposed inside was also very strange. It was pitch black, not like a physical body that a living creature should have. The black dragon was very weak, constantly roaring and twisting its dragon body, wanting to shake off the figure on top of it. Unfortunately, it did all this in vain. In the end, it drooped its head, not wanting to move anymore. "Grandpa, that human powerhouse won." When the young girl saw this scene, she could not help but jump up in excitement. "Let's hurry over and pay respects to this lord. When the time comes, you can't be rude. This is a half-step heaven-shattering realm's supreme powerhouse. You must treat him with caution." The old man's gaze was solemn, and after repeatedly warning the young girl, he urged the caravan to rush towards that figure. At this moment, Nguyen was riding on the black dragon's head, both hands holding the black dragon's two horns. The black dragon was powerless, constantly howling. It was almost beaten half to death by Zhuan, and at this moment, how could it have the strength to resist Zhuan? Zhuan casually wiped a drop of black blood on the black dragon's head, and his gaze became very strange as he sniffed it. Because he found that this black blood was not blood at all, but instead more like a kind of energy fluid. Rip. Zhuan tore off a dragon scale on the black dragon's head, and his right hand reached inside. He actually felt many lines inside. These lines exuded a strange light and had an indescribable power. "This is a mechanical life?" Zhuan's eyes flashed, feeling incredulous. He fell into deep thought, thinking a lot, and felt that this black dragon was definitely not a product of this starry sky. Although the starry sky he was in also had many life planets with technological civilizations, in general, the technological civilization was not developed, and it was even more impossible to create this kind of mechanical life with strength comparable to a half-step heaven-shattering realm. Could this black dragon have come from another starry sky? Zhuan's eyes lit up. He was not the ignorant person he used to be, and knew the so-called starry sky of the lower realm and the 100 outer realms. Moreover, he also knew that the starry sky of the lower realm was not just his starry sky, but also the starry sky of other civilizations. And this black dragon was obviously a product of another starry sky civilization. But how did this black dragon enter the starry sky he was in? Moreover, there was actually a trace of shattered divine power in the black dragon's body, which was very extraordinary. Thinking of this, Zhuan's eyes fell on the darkness in the depths of the natural chasm. Could there be another world under this natural chasm? Zhuan thought in his heart, and felt that this was the most likely. After all, this black dragon had appeared from the depths of this natural chasm. Moreover, it had suddenly appeared recently. Perhaps there was a passage in the depths of this natural chasm that led to another starry sky? "Greetings, Senior, I am Lu Qingfeng." At this moment, the caravan had already approached. The old man standing at the forefront of the deck hurriedly cupped his hands, and lowered his head, not daring to look at Zhuan, and spoke respectfully. Zhuan's thoughts were interrupted by the old man's words, and he could not help but turn his head, looking at the caravan with a look of surprise. Chapter 35:20. Golden Corner Starry Skies. Ah! The instant Zhuan turned his head, the young girl immediately saw Zhuan's appearance clearly and involuntarily cried out. The old man's heart thumped and hurriedly pulled the young girl, making her bow to Zhuan. "Your Excellency, this is my granddaughter. She hasn't seen the world, so if there are areas where her etiquette is lacking, Your Excellency, please don't take offense." The old man was meticulous and immediately apologized to Zhuan. At the same time, only then did he raise his head to look at Zhuan. The instant he saw Zhuan's appearance, he was also stunned, his gaze revealing a look of disbelief. "The two of you, we're really fated to meet again," Zhuan said with a smile that was not a smile. The old man came back to his senses very quickly and immediately pulled the young girl beside him to kneel down, his body trembling as he said, "Didn't expect that it's Your Excellency." This lowly one didn't know previously and shouldn't have made rash conclusions. Your Excellency, please be magnanimous and spare us. The old man broke out in cold sweat, his back long drenched. Back then, when Juan took the lead to leave the dock, he had once asserted that Juan would die without a doubt, his words very impudent. Although Juan was already far away at that time, he knew that a powerhouse like Juan, even if he was very far away, he probably also heard his words on the flying ship back then. That was why he hurriedly knelt on the ground to apologize. When the other people in the caravan saw the old man kneel down, they also knelt down one after another, not daring to look directly at Juan. This person before their eyes was suspected to be a half-step heaven-breaking realm powerhouse, a true supreme powerhouse standing in this starry sky. He could easily annihilate them with one finger. Such a powerhouse, they did not dare to offend, hurriedly begging for mercy. Juan had a smile that was not a smile. Back then, the old man's comments about him on the flying ship, he indeed heard it all. It was just that he did not go and fuss over it. Now, seeing the old man so nervous, he felt rather amused. Get up. If I blamed you back then, would you all still be able to live until now? Juan said with a slight smile. Lu Qingfeng's heart turned cold, hurriedly thanking Juan, and said a lot of pretty words. Your Excellency, are you also heading to the demon domain? Why don't you come with us? Lu Qingfeng clasped his fist at Juan and asked with a fervent look in his eyes. Juan waved his hand and said, No need. I still have some things to do, so I won't be going with you. Lu Qingfeng was also a smart person. He glanced at the black dragon that was imprisoned by Juan and thought of something. He didn't continue talking about this matter. Instead, he took out a token and handed it to Juan. My lord, this is our Thunderbolt Trading Firm's token. Our Thunderbolt Trading Company is one of the Demon Region's 4 great trading companies. We have some influence in the Demon Region. Senior, if you're heading to the Demon Realm, you can come find me at the Thunderbolt Trading Company. Although this old man's strength is far from your Excellency's match, my connections in the Demon Region are still quite wide. Sir, if you have any trivial matters, you can look for this old man. This old man will definitely be at your beck and call and take care of it properly. Lu Qingfeng said expectantly. Juan nodded, accepted the token, and said casually, If I really encounter some troublesome matters, I'll go find you. But you can rest assured that I won't let people work for nothing when I find people to help me. If you can really help me at that time, I naturally won't treat you unfairly. Lu Qingfeng grinned from ear to ear, then very cleverly stopped disturbing Juan and led the caravan away from this area. Grandpa, this sir isn't from the Demon Region at a glance. He might not be too familiar with the Demon Region. Why didn't you invite him to come with us? We can totally be his guides. After the caravan walked away, the young girl on the deck asked Lu Qingfeng puzzledly. This sir has just subdued that black dragon. He's probably anxious to extract benefits from that black dragon. Aren't we dampening his mood there? Leaving early is the best choice. Lu Qingfeng said with a twinkle in his eyes. Hearing that, the young girl nodded half understanding. Jun came in front of the black dragon and communicated with it with divine sense, asking about its specific origins. Human, you'd better let me go. Otherwise, you will die very miserably. I'm a creature of Golden Corner Starry Sky, the vanguard of Golden Corner Starry Sky. If you let me go now, when the army of Golden Corner Starry Sky comes here, you will be the first to die. The black dragon roared and viciously replied to Juan with divine sense. Juan was surprised. He didn't expect this black dragon to really come from another lower realm's starry sky. Moreover, according to this guy's words, the army of Golden Corner Starry Sky was coming to invade their starry sky. What was going on? Their starry sky had no intersection with the so-called Golden Corner Starry Sky, so why would Golden Corner Starry Sky invade their starry sky? Juan became very serious. He always felt that this Golden Corner Starry Sky was very unusual. The vanguard sent here were all powerhouses of the Third Blight. The strength of this starry sky was definitely very strong, probably stronger than the starry sky he was in. Next, Juan planned to continue to ask about the purpose of the so-called Golden Corner Starry Sky. But the black dragon was smart and knew that it had let it slip. No matter how Zhuowen asked, it kept silent. He, still pretending to be silent with me? I'll let you pretend. Zhuowen sneered. His powerful divine sense was like a sharp sword as it plunged into the black dragon's forehead. Although the black dragon was a metal life form and had a very different body from flesh and blood, its divine sense was still the same. After all, it had embarked on the path of cultivation. Moreover, Hun also found that the black dragon's physical strength was very strong and there was a trace of broken divine power in its body. However, its divine sense was very weak and barely had the strength of a first blight cultivator. Zhuowen's divine sense invaded the black dragon's divine sense and immediately suppressed its divine sense. As long as Zhuowen willed it, he could immediately destroy the black dragon's divine sense. The black dragon realized the strength of Zhuowen's divine sense and began to feel fear. It sent out divine sense begging for mercy. Zhuowen ignored it. His divine sense condensed into a spiral drill and began to destroy the black dragon's divine sense space. He wanted to blast open the black dragon's divine sense and directly search its soul. It was simple and crude without any hesitation. But soon, Zhuowen found that in the depths of the black dragon's divine sense, there was a special power that formed a shield that wrapped around the divine sense and protected it. Moreover, this shield also had a trace of broken divine power. It was very difficult to deal with. Ordinary third blight cultivators would find it difficult to blast open this shield with divine sense attacks. My race's divine sense has always been weak. We have already taken precautions. So what if your divine sense is strong? You can't break the divine sense shield set up by my race's divine master. The black dragon saw that Zhuowen's divine sense was blocked and let out a sigh of relief. This shield is indeed very difficult for ordinary third blight cultivators to deal with. Even fourth blight cultivators would find it difficult to break if they don't have a divine sense attack. But to me, it's just trash. Zhuowen sneered. His divine sense was too strong, comparable to a fifth blight cultivator. The shield in the black dragon's divine sense was a joke to him. Zhuowen's divine sense surged and the shield instantly collapsed. His divine sense completely occupied the black dragon's divine sense space and began to search its divine sense. No, how is this possible? Chapter 35-21. SS roaming the starry sky roar. The black dragon let out a blood-curdling screech. In the end, its huge eyes slowly closed. Its enormous body floated in the air, motionless. Its soul had been severely injured during the soul-searching process, and it had fallen into a deep coma. Zhuowen withdrew his soul, but his expression became more and more unsightly. During the soul-searching process, he learned all of the black dragon's memories. The black dragon did come from the golden corner starry sky, and the golden corner starry sky was one of the countless starry sky fruits in the primordial tree. The golden corner starry sky was basically a metal life form, a starry sky civilization that advanced both cultivation and technology. Moreover, from the black dragon's memories, he learned that the golden corner starry sky civilization was very prosperous, evolving countless times, and producing many powerhouses. In the golden corner starry sky, there were many heaven-breaking realm powerhouses who successfully entered the higher level of the 100 domains through the primordial path. In addition, in the golden corner starry sky, there were as many half-step heaven-breaking realm powerhouses as there were feathers, and it was also a powerful starry sky in the lower realm. However, he learned from the black dragon's memories that the golden corner starry sky had been born and multiplied for 80 to 90 eras, and the entire starry sky had begun to age and was on the verge of collapse. He had learned from the heaven-splitting axe's artifact spirit that the starry sky fruits in the primordial tree had a lifespan of about 100 eras. Once 100 eras passed, the starry sky fruit would wither and collapse. The golden corner starry sky had been born for 80 to 90 eras, and it had indeed entered the end of its life cycle and was on the verge of collapse. The starry sky he was in was very young, only a few eras old. It was the beginning of the starry sky, and it was full of vitality. The ruler of the golden corner starry sky used the information provided by the ancestors of the 100 domains to investigate the starry sky Zhuowen was in. He thought that their starry sky was very young, and the natives were very weak, so he wanted to completely occupy it. Moreover, what surprised Juon even more was that the Golden Corner Starry Sky called their starry sky Panyu Starry Sky. This surprised Juon. Could it be that the powerhouse of the Golden Corner Starry Sky knew Panyu? Juon did not dwell too much on this point. He fell into deep thought. From the Black Dragon's memories, he could see that this Golden Corner Starry Sky was very powerful. It was said that there were dozens of fifth blight cultivators, not to mention the number of cultivators half a step into the heaven-breaking realm. They were much more powerful than their starry sky. Currently, the only known fifth blight powerhouses in Starry Sky were 3 Pure Ones and Wu Taiji. No, we must stop them from entering this starry sky. Juon's eyes were solemn. He knew that if this continued, it would be too late when the real powerhouses of Golden Corner Starry Sky arrived. This starry sky would face a terrible catastrophe. Juon used his divine sense to awaken the unconscious Black Dragon. Then he forcefully seized the Black Dragon's divine sense imprint and held it in his hands. You actually dared to search my soul. The Black Dragon's eyes were filled with fear. Even now, its head was still hurting so much that it wanted to die. Its divine soul was actually somewhat damaged, having suffered a very serious injury. Your divine sense imprint is in my hands. I only need a thought, and your divine sense will immediately be destroyed. Now, if you don't want to die, submit to me. Juon said calmly. The Black Dragon roared, and finally lowered its proud head. It had cultivated for countless years and experienced untold hardships before finally reaching its current achievements. It did not want to die like this. Moreover, it also had a fluke mentality. As long as its cultivation broke through again, its divine sense would undergo a transformation. At that time, it would be able to break free from Juon's divine sense and regain its freedom. Golden Corner Starry Sky sent a vanguard team here, and you are the leader of that vanguard team. Our battle just now caused such a big commotion, but your subordinates actually did not notice at all? Juon said in surprise. He learned from the Black Dragon's memories that Golden Corner Starry Sky did not just send this Black Dragon, but an entire team. They were all mechanical life forms. There were more than a dozen of them, and all of them were half a step into the heaven-breaking realm. Reporting to Master, in the deepest part of this natural chasm is one of the borders of Wandering Starry Sky. Moreover, this border has a very weak place. Our vanguard team barely reached the depths of the natural chasm with the help of my race's powerful formation Tao Divine Masters. But at the border of the natural chasm, a strange power pervades. It can block divine sense and cover divine sense, falling into a kind of terrifying darkness. I left the depths and headed above the natural chasm. It's impossible for my subordinates to detect it. Even if it's a battle, it's also difficult to detect unless they also come up. The Black Dragon said. Juon nodded. When he was deep in the darkness of the natural chasm, his divine sense was indeed suppressed very severely. This was still because his divine sense far surpassed other cultivators. If cultivators of the same rank entered that darkness, they probably would not even be able to use their divine sense. It was simply like their 2 eyes smeared with darkness. You could accurately locate my position in the darkness before. How did you do it? Juon looked at the Black Dragon with hostility. He knew that the Black Dragon was the one who attacked him at the bottom of the natural chasm. It was obvious that the Black Dragon knew his exact location. Although the divine telekinesis can't be used in the darkness of the natural moat, the sensors in the technological civilization are not affected at all. I can sense your exact location through the sensors, but it's not too far away. Black Dragon smiled bitterly. Juon had a look of understanding. When he confirmed that the Black Dragon was a mechanical life form, he knew that the Golden Corner Starry Sky where it was located was a highly technologically advanced starry sky. It was not a problem to have powerful sensors. Bring me to the depths of the natural chasm and find your vanguard team. But don't alarm them. Otherwise, you're dead meat. Juon instructed calmly. The Black Dragon's eyes flashed fiercely, but it had to do as Juon said. After all, its divine soul mark was controlled by Juon. If Juon wanted to kill it, It would only take a thought. The black dragon's speed was very fast. Especially when it went deep into the natural chasm, its speed was not affected at all. In fact, it was getting faster and faster. Zhuan sat cross-legged between the black dragon's horns. He used his divine sense to observe the surroundings. Although his divine sense was suppressed, he could still use it. The distance was indeed shortened by dozens of times, but it was enough for him. Roughly 10 days later, the black dragon suddenly made a turn downwards. Zhuowen felt the surrounding darkness disperse as a vast wasteland appeared in his field of vision. Above the wasteland was a bright and resplendent starry sky that continuously flickered with a myriad of colors. At the end of the wasteland was a lonely mountain range. On top of the mountain range stood a huge metal castle. At first glance, it was obvious that the metal castle was artificially built in the mountain range. Zhuan had learned from his conversation with the Black Dragon that the metal castle was the base of the Black Dragon's vanguard team. "I'll give you a chance to perform. Enter the castle and kill all the members of the vanguard team." Zhuan jumped off the dragon's head and landed on the wasteland. "What did you say? You want me to kill each other?" The Black Dragon roared, its eyes becoming unfriendly. Chapter 35-22. Energy fluid. Zhuowen appeared cold and merciless toward the Black Dragon and the other beings of the Golden Corner Galaxy. He was well aware of his own position. He knew that the Golden Corner Galaxy was an invader, an enemy that wanted to invade his home. If he didn't strike first, he would ultimately harm all the beings of the galaxy. The Black Dragon was trembling with anger, but there was nothing he could do. With a whoosh, he shot toward the metal castle. When the Black Dragon completely entered the metal castle, Zhuan leaned against a desolate rock and waited silently. Boom! Soon, the metal castle turned into ruins. The Black Dragon rushed out of the castle, its whole body covered in wounds, its aura weak. Obviously, it had experienced a fierce battle in the metal castle. "I've dealt with all the members of the vanguard team. Are you satisfied now?" The Black Dragon's eyes were filled with fatigue, but its tone toward Zhuan was still harsh and unfriendly. Zhuan didn't care. Instead, he jumped onto the Black Dragon's head and said, "Take me into the castle." The Black Dragon had no choice but to take Zhuan into the ruined castle. On the ruins of the castle, there were more than a dozen mechanical beings. These mechanical beings were of different shapes, some in animal form and some in plant form. The only thing they had in common was that their auras were very powerful. They must have been terrifying elites when they were alive. Zhuan landed in the ruins and carefully examined these mechanical beings. Without exception, these mechanical beings were the same as the Black Dragon. Their bodies were filled with complicated and changeable circuits, and there was an energy fluid that was as thick as blood. This energy fluid is good stuff. The moment Zhuan touched the energy fluid again, he once again felt the powerful energy contained in it. Moreover, this energy fluid actually had a trace of shattering divine power. He knew that the reason why the beings of the Golden Corner Galaxy could display shattering divine power was most likely related to this energy fluid. Moreover, Zhuan also found that although this energy fluid couldn't compare to chaos crystals, it was of a much higher grade than the supreme-grade Heavenly Path origin crystals in the galaxy. It was very suitable for half-step shattering Heaven Realm cultivators to cultivate. Zhuan also finally knew why there were so many half-step shattering Heaven Realm cultivators in the Golden Corner Galaxy compared to the galaxy. Besides the fact that their galaxy had evolved for a long time, it was also related to this energy fluid. Zhuan was very excited. He started to collect the energy fluid from these mechanical beings, not daring to waste a single bit. This energy liquid was too beneficial to the cultivation of a half-step heaven-breaking realm powerhouse. It was a true nectar, and he didn't dare to carelessly waste it. Black Dragon's eyes twitched as he watched Zhuowen collect the energy fluid from his companions. To mechanical life forms like them, the energy fluid was equivalent to the blood of a human body. Zhuowen's current actions were no different from abusing a corpse and sucking blood. Soon, Zhuowen collected all the energy fluids in these mechanical life forms. "What is this?" Zhuowen quickly noticed a ring-shaped metal platform in a corner of the ruins. On top of the platform stood a cylindrical vessel. The vessel was filled with a dark green liquid, and within the liquid, a huge metal sword was floating quietly. The liquid kept bubbling like boiling water, and the metal longsword emitted a cold light, showing its extraordinariness. Is this a half-step heaven-breaker divine sword? Zhuan broke open the container and held the metal sword in his hand. His gaze was a little strange. All of a sudden, Xiao He flew out of the great world and stared fervently at the metal sword in Zhuan's hand. Wow! The ores in this metal longsword are very precious and powerful. This thing is very beneficial to my evolution. Kid, can you let me have it? Xiao He rubbed his hands excitedly, saliva almost dripping out of his mouth. Zhuan nodded and tossed the metal sword to Xiao He. Xiao He put the metal sword into its bag without hesitation. At the same time, it looked around at the ruins of the metal castle, drooling even more. The materials used in this metal castle are all top-grade refining materials. This is a treasure trove for me. Little blood, little G, come out quickly. There's good stuff here. Xiao He's eyes were bright. He hurriedly summoned the blood immortal sword and the sacrificial death sword. Then, the three divine swords rushed forward and began to devour and refine the remains of the metal castle. Moreover, these three fellows did not let go of the dozen or so mechanical corpses. They thought that these mechanical corpses were more precious and powerful, and would be of great use to them. The black dragon looked at all this speechlessly, and a chill rose in his heart. What kind of people were these? They did not even let go of the remains and corpses of the metal castle. This group of people was really terrifying. Zhuan ignored Xiao He and the others. Instead, he walked toward the depths of the mountain where the metal castle was located. He learned from the black dragon that in the depths of the mountain was the border of the starry sky. Moreover, the powerful restriction at the border was said to have become very weak. It had been torn apart by the formation of the Golden Corner starry sky once. Now it was even more fragile. Soon, Zhuan found a valley in the depths of the mountain. At the edge of the valley, there was a huge circular whirlpool. This was a sign that the restriction was unstable. Zhuan looked at the circular whirlpool seriously. He was sure that the black dragon was not lying. This was indeed the aura of the restriction at the border of the starry sky. He had been to the border of the starry sky and studied the restriction there. He was very clear about the strength and aura of the restriction. Although the circular whirlpool was unstable, the aura of the restriction on it was exactly the same as the one at the border of the starry sky he had been to before. The Black Dragon once said that the Golden Corner starry sky would send another vanguard team after some time. When that time comes, the weak part of the restriction will be torn apart even more. Then it will be troublesome. I have to find a way to restore this restriction. Zhuowen's eyes flickered. He took out beast bone formation discs and took out the true alchemy array record to study. The restriction at the border of the starry sky was definitely a heaven breaker level restriction. If it had not been weakened for some reason, it would not have been torn apart by the formation of the Golden Corner starry sky and sent a vanguard team into the starry sky. Now, Zhuowen's formation skills had not yet reached the heaven breaker level. However, he knew that what he had to do was to repair this weak restriction and not set it up again. This was much simpler. However, this was only simple for a heaven breaker level formation master. For a half-step heaven breaker level formation master like Zhuowen, it was extremely difficult. If he wanted to completely make up for this weakness, his array formation skills would have to break through to the heaven breaker level to do so. He knew very well that if he could successfully repair this weak restriction, his formation skills would undergo a transformation. He might even directly advance to the heaven breaker level. Thinking of this, Zhuowen closed his eyes and spread out his consciousness. He studied the true alchemy array record and the restriction at the same time. Chapter 35-23. Xiao He's tribulation. Zhuowen's comprehension ability was simply too strong, and it had already transcended the scope of this galaxy. With the assistance of the true alchemy formation record and his epiphany, Zhuowen's formation Dao level was rapidly improving. In the blink of an eye, more than half a month had passed. The purple light around Zhuowen's body gradually receded, and he also slowly opened his eyes. My comprehension has indeed improved extremely quickly, but it's still a little short. I haven't been able to completely raise my formation Dao level to the Heaven Breaker level. Zhuan sighed. His formation Dao level had greatly improved, but in the end, it still remained at the peak of the half-step Heaven Breaker level. He was only a step away from the Heaven Breaker level. He knew that his foundation was still too shallow. Moreover, he also discovered that it was truly too difficult to break through to the Heaven Breaker level in alchemy and formation Dao in this galaxy, unless he went to the higher realm of the 100 Outer Realms. He believed that if he could enter the 100 Outer Realms, with his comprehension ability, he should be able to smoothly break through in a short period of time. However, it wasn't so easy in the lower realm of the galaxy. Unless he had heaven-defying opportunities or accumulated over a long period of time, he might be able to smoothly break through to the Heaven Breaker level like the Pill Formation Celestial Lord. Zhuan sighed softly and put the true alchemy formation record into his great world. He stopped comprehending it and instead began to control the beast bone formation discs, planning to fix the restriction vortex before him. Although he didn't manage to become a Heaven Breaker Divine Array Master, as a half-step Heaven Breaker Divine Array Master, it was still possible for him to fix this restriction vortex. Zhuowen spent 10 days and 10 nights before he finally patched up the loophole in the restriction vortex. After doing all this, Yuan didn't hurry to leave. Instead, he looked at the black dragon nearby and said, "The second group of vanguards will arrive within a month. Is this news absolutely true?" The black dragon nodded and said, "I'm the person in charge of the first group of vanguards. If the second group of vanguards is about to arrive, they'll basically notify me a month in advance. I just received news yesterday that the second group of vanguards will definitely arrive within a month." "Good. Then I'll wait for them here." Zhuowen's eyes were filled with killing intent. Although he wasn't a person who liked to kill, these golden cosmos mechanical beings were invaders. In order to occupy their galaxy cosmos and enslave their enemies, He planned to kill the second group of vanguards here. "Master, you have to be careful. The person in charge of Heaven Breaker level is at the peak. Is Heaven Breaker level heaven is? He should be Heaven Breaker level. Am I being heaven level? Is lenses? Ha. I is Ling Sun He. Is Dao." While he repaired the restriction vortex, he also set up several half-step Heaven Breaker level trap killing arrays. They were powerful enough to trap Heaven Breaker level powerhouses. Although Black Dragon was still very worried, he had also seen Zhuo Wen's powerful array formation skills during this period of time. He knew that this young man's array formation skills were not weaker than the number 1 array formation master of Golden Corner Starry Sky. His array formation skills were even stronger. With Zhuowen's powerful array formation skills, the second group of vanguards was indeed nothing to worry about. At this moment, Yuan took out a jade bucket from the Great World. The jade bucket was filled with energy fluid. These were all extracted from the dozen or so mechanical beings' corpses. The black dragon's eyelids twitched when it saw the jade bucket. It left the valley. Out of sight, out of mind. Zhuan scooped a spoonful of energy fluid from the jade bucket and poured it on his palm. The colorful energy fluid was like a rainbow liquid. The colors were dazzling and surging. The powerful energy contained in this energy fluid made Zhuowen feel comfortable and carefree. He circulated the primordial chant and began to absorb the energy fluid through his palm. After a while, the colorful energy fluid in his palm was completely absorbed by him. The rich energy filled his body and quickly flowed through his body. It entered his dantian and was easily refined into shattering divine power. Zhuan was pleasantly surprised. This energy fluid was easier to refine than the chaotic energy in the chaotic cosmos. Moreover, it was not as domineering as the energy in the chaos crystals. This energy fluid was specially made for half-step Heaven Breaker level powerhouses. Zhuowen's eyes were filled with greed. He directly sucked out all the energy fluid in the jade bucket and surrounded his body. He opened all the acupoints in his body and began to rapidly absorb the energy fluid for his own use. If the black dragon saw this scene, it would definitely be dumbfounded. Although the energy fluid was very suitable for half-step Heaven Breaker level powerhouses to cultivate, there was actually a trace of shattering divine power inside. It was very domineering. If it was absorbed too much, the half-step heaven breaker level powerhouse might not be able to bear it and die. When the black dragon cultivated before, it basically used a small bottle every day, but Juan used a large bucket. This was really too abnormal. Moreover, Juan looked completely fine. Instead, he had a comfortable expression. The black dragon did not know, but Juan was clear. The energy in his body was already shattering divine power, and the trace of shattering divine power in this energy fluid was like nothing to him. It would not affect him at all. Time gradually passed. Soon 10 days had passed. The colorful energy fluid around Juan had been completely absorbed by him. And Juan's aura had also skyrocketed to a very terrifying level. His cultivation level actually jumped from the middle stage of the second blight to the late stage of the second blight with the help of the energy fluid. This energy fluid is really extraordinary. The cultivation effect is actually so good. Juan's eyes flashed, and he was very excited. Although he had chaos crystals that were of a higher grade than the energy fluid, the level of energy inside was too high. After all, it was for heaven breaker level cultivators to cultivate. It still had some side effects on Juan's cultivation. So normally, Juan rarely used chaos crystals to cultivate, unless he was really about to break through and urgently needed energy. But the energy fluid was different. This was a resource created for half-step heaven breaker level powerhouses to cultivate. To Juan, it had no side effects and was the most suitable resource for his cultivation level. If I have enough energy fluid, I can break through again in a short time and advance to the peak of the second blight. It's even possible for me to reach the third blight. Juan's eyes were slightly regretful. He felt that the energy fluid was too little, not enough to fill the gaps between his teeth. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, a thunderous sound came from the mountain range behind him, attracting Juan's attention. It's actually the blight. Someone has advanced to the half-step heaven breaker level? Juan's eyes were filled with surprise. He immediately recognized that what appeared before him was the first blight. Moreover, the location of the blight happened to be where the metal castle ruins were. When Juan arrived at the ruins of the metal castle, he saw a divine sword transcending the blight tribulation. Furthermore, the divine sword was cursing while transcending the tribulation. Almost every curse was different. When Juan saw this scene, he was speechless. At the same time, he was somewhat happy. He knew that Xiao He had broken through and was about to enter the half-step heaven breaker level. It seemed that the metal sword found in the metal castle was of great help to Xiao He. He actually broke through so quickly. Chapter 35-24. Shinrue. About half a day later, the blight finally dissipated, and the thunder fire sword fell to the ground like a dead dog. At the same time, a mysterious power surged into the thunder fire sword, containing a powerful vitality, and instantly restored the thunder fire sword. Xiao He, congratulations. You've successfully broken through. Yuan was sincerely happy for Xiao He. Xiao He grinned and said, "Boy, this is all thanks to you. The metal sword you gave me was too beneficial to me, so I was finally able to break through. It's just a metal sword, and it has such great benefits. It's really hard to imagine if I'll continue to evolve if I absorb the metal materials from those corpses." Xiao He's eyes were full of emotion, and at the same time, he pointed at the dozen or so mechanical corpses that had been arranged by the Blood Immortal Sword and the Death Sacrifice Sword. Juan nodded. Xiao He was a tool refiner, and he had extremely high requirements for metal materials. And these mechanical creatures that had descended from the Golden Corner Starry Sky all contained mysterious and powerful metal materials, which were simply great supplements for Xiao He. Juan estimated that if Xiao He completely absorbed those mechanical creatures, he would probably evolve again. After all, these mechanical creatures were all half a step away from the heavenly break realm, and they were not simple people. Xiao He did not continue to absorb those mechanical creatures, but put them all away. He had just broken through, and urgently needed to consolidate his realm, not continue to break through. After his realm was completely consolidated, he would consider absorbing the remaining mechanical creatures. However, he did not hide anything, and left 2 mechanical creatures for the Blood Immortal Sword and the Death Sacrifice Sword to absorb and break through. After Xiao He and the others re-entered the Great World, Yun still stayed in the Metal Castle ruins. He stayed here not because there were treasures here, but because he was waiting for the second batch of vanguards to arrive. After completely annihilating the second batch of vanguards, Yun left this place. Black Dragon, on the other hand, was a little uneasy. He already knew who the person in charge of the second batch of vanguards was, and he told Juon about the person in charge. The person in charge of the second group is Xian Rui. He is very strong and is at the middle stage of the 4th blight. I didn't expect that the person in charge of the second batch of vanguards would change at the last moment. Black Dragon's voice was somewhat restless. Juon was astonished. Originally, Black Dragon had told him that the person in charge of the second batch of vanguards was only slightly stronger than him. He was at the peak of the 3rd blight. But now, there was a sudden change. This mechanical life called Xian Rui was quite famous in the Golden Corner Galaxy. She was a mid-stage 4th blight elite, and her strength was almost on par with the second master of the Wu Tower, Wu Yangshua. It doesn't matter. So what if he's replaced? I still want them to nurse a grudge here. Zhuowen said indifferently. Black Dragon couldn't sit still. He said in a deep voice, Master, you don't know. The second batch of vanguards will definitely get the formation breaking order from the Golden Corner Galaxy Grandmaster. They can break most of the half-step heaven breaking divine formations. The killing formations you set up won't be much of an obstacle to this batch of vanguards. Zhuon frowned slightly and looked at Black Dragon coldly. Black Dragon didn't tell him about the formation breaking order before, and he only mentioned it now. Black Dragon lowered his head and didn't dare to look at Zhuon. He knew that his previous little scheme had been seen through by Zhuon. Master, let's leave here. Xian Rui is very strong. She's not an ordinary mid-stage 4th blight elite. Even if you and I join forces, we won't be her opponent. At that time, we will definitely die in her hands. Black Dragon said anxiously. As a creature of the Golden Corner Galaxy, he was very clear about the strength of Xian Rui. At this moment, his heart was full of fear. Your Golden Corner Galaxy Grand Master's secret order may not be able to break my formation. This time, we must leave that batch of vanguards behind. If you don't want to fight, then die. Zhuowen's eyes were filled with killing intent. Black Dragon lowered his head and didn't say anything. Zhuowen already put it this way. He already had no leeway to object. Zhuowen was very confident. The Golden Corner Galaxy Grandmaster was only a half-step heaven-breaking divine formation master. Their formation skills were at most on par with him. Moreover, Yun was also confident that his formation skills had improved again, and he had also obtained the inheritance of the Pill Array Immortal Lord. The formation skills of the Grand Master might not necessarily be stronger than his. Time gradually passed. Finally, half a month later, the monitoring formation that Zhuowen had set up at the border was activated. He found that outside the edge of the galaxy, there was a teleportation light. The light faded, revealing more than 10 figures. These figures were all mechanical life. They were of different shapes and sizes, and each of them had a powerful aura. Basically, they were all half-step heaven-breaking experts. The most conspicuous one was the figure in the lead. This figure was a huge metal Vajra. It was 5 feet tall and had a metallic luster all over its body. This metal Vajra's aura was the most powerful, far surpassing the other creatures in this team. It was a mid-stage 4th blight expert. He's Shinrue? Zhuowen looked at the metal Vajra through the image and asked Black Dragon next to him. At this moment, Black Dragon's eyes were very solemn, and there was even a deep sense of fear. Yes. He's Shinrue, a mid-stage 4th blight expert. Black Dragon sighed softly. Let's go and welcome them. Zhuowen smiled slightly, stood up, and walked towards the border. At this moment, in the team outside the border, Shinrue's gaze fell on the weak point of the border. He said with some confusion, "Why do I feel that the restriction at the border here is stronger than before? Are you sure this is the weak point of the border to enter the galaxy?" A mechanical life beside him said respectfully, Lord Shinrue, we came here according to the coordinates that the Grand Master gave us. The Grand Master has never made a mistake in this aspect, so it must be here. Shinrue nodded, took out his communicator and sent a message to Black Dragon. That Black Reef is the leader of the first Vanguard team. He is very familiar with this place. Let him come out and welcome us. Shinrue said lightly. Not long after he sent the message, a vortex appeared not far from the border in front of them. Then, a huge black dragon rushed out of the vortex. It was the Black Reef that Shinrue mentioned. Brother Shinrue, you're finally here. I've been waiting for you for a long time. Black Reef landed not far away. His huge dragon eyes looked at Shinrue and said quite enthusiastically. Shinrue said coldly, Black Reef, I didn't expect you to be able to hide the entrance so well. I didn't even see it for a while. Now, take us in first. With that, Shinrue strode into the whirlpool. He didn't even want to pay attention to Heijiao. However, Shinrue only took a few steps before he was stopped by Black Reef. Black Reef, what do you mean by this? Chapter 35-25. The second Vanguard Team Black Reef's expression became very serious. Shinrue saw the former's expression and felt that something was wrong. Did something big happen? Brother Shinrue, I have a very important thing to tell you. It's related to whether or not we can take down Space Traveler. Black Reef said mysteriously with a serious expression. Shinrue's expression also became serious. He said in a deep voice, Black Reef, what happened? Tell me now. Shinrue's attitude towards Black Reef also eased a lot. Although his strength was far above Black Reef's, Space Traveler had come to Space Traveler before him. However, Heijiao had come to the Starry Sky much earlier than him. His understanding of the Starry Sky was definitely above him. If he wanted to know more about Space Traveler in a short period of time, he would have to rely on Black Reef's information. Black Reef looked around mysteriously as if he really had some unspeakable secret. Brother Shinrue, this matter is too important. I can only tell you. Black Reef pointed at the dozen or so mechanical life forms behind Shinrue. His meaning was obvious. Shinrue's eyes were calm as he ordered the mechanical life forms behind him, go into Space Traveler and wait for me. I have something to say to Brother Black Reef. The mechanical life forms of the Vanguard team were very respectful and did not resist Shinrue's order. They all entered the restriction vortex at the border. Black Reef, you can speak now. Shinrue stood in place and looked at Black Reef calmly. Black Reef smiled and suddenly blasted out with his dragon claw. A terrifying astral wind swept out and the surrounding space collapsed under the terrifying energy. Shinrue's expression changed greatly. He did not expect Black Reef to suddenly attack and was hit hard in the chest. However, Shinrue was a mid-stage 4th Blight powerhouse after all. His cultivation was a realm higher than Black Reef's. His reaction was very fast. The moment Black Reef attacked, he stimulated his energy defense. Dang dang dang. Shinrue groaned and covered his chest. He looked at the culprit who attacked him and roared angrily, Black Reef, you dare to attack me? Are you courting death? Black Reef sneered and took out a formation flag. His body emitted a white light. Not good. Shinrue could tell at a glance that the array flag in Heijiao's hand was the array flag for a temporary teleportation array. Heijiao wanted to escape. Shinrue immediately took action, but unfortunately, it was still eaten. Black Reef completely disappeared in the light of the teleportation. Heijiao, don't let me catch you. Otherwise, I'll make you beg for death. Shinrue roared and rushed towards the restriction vortex at the edge of the Starry Sky. Bang. However, as soon as Shinrue approached the restriction vortex, he was blocked outside. The entrance to the restriction vortex was actually closed. Stupid Black Reef, don't you know that I have the Grand Master's formation breaking order? This was the only weak point of the wandering Starry Sky, and it was also a restriction set up by the great God Master himself. Does this fellow naively think that I will be blocked outside? Shinrue sneered, then took out a golden token and threw it out. Suddenly, terrifying ripples were emitted from the token. Those were the ripples of the Matrix, and they surged like waves. Kakaka. A strange sound came from the restriction vortex. The restriction vortex's energy was weakened, and the restriction light dimmed. Just when X-Ray thought that the restriction light would be completely extinguished, the formation breaking order shattered into countless fragments. How is this possible? How can the Grand Master's formation breaking order not only fail to completely break the formation, but it also shattered? X-Ray looked at the weak restriction light in disbelief. Although the restriction vortex had been weakened a lot, it was still not broken. Damn it! It must be Black Reef's doing. Black Reef, that bastard, how dare he openly disobey my order? If I catch him, I'll skin him alive. X-Ray flew into a rage and began to attack the already weakened restriction vortex like a madman. If the restriction vortex was at its peak, X-Ray would not be able to break it even if he self-destructed. However, the restriction vortex had become very weak after being broken by the formation breaking order. With X-Ray's strength, it was not impossible to break the formation by force. While X-Ray was angrily smashing the restriction vortex, the dozen mechanical life forms had already entered the restriction vortex. Then they fell into a state of spinning. It's a trap and kill array. Someone set up this array in advance. Is he trying to trap and kill us? These mechanical life forms recognized the trap and kill array around them at a glance. They were all in disbelief. They had just arrived in the starry sky and should have received the grandest welcome, but they did not expect to be greeted by death. The trap and kill array was immediately activated. The dozen mechanical life forms were suppressed, and some were even seriously injured. Zhuowen, who was hiding inside the trap and kill array, appeared silently. He appeared behind one of the mechanical life forms like a ghost and punched the back of the mechanical life form's heart. The purple light flashed like a knife. The punch was so terrifying that it directly penetrated the mechanical life form's back and came out from its chest. You are a human? Are you a creature of the Panyu star? The mechanical life form that was ambushed immediately noticed Zhuowen behind him. When he saw Zhuowen's face clearly, he shouted in surprise. He felt that it was unbelievable. This place was the stronghold of their vanguard team, and it was also the border of the Panyu star. It was very hidden. Logically speaking, even the most powerful creatures of the Panyu star wouldn't be able to find this place. But now, a creature of the Panyu star had appeared, and it was terrifyingly powerful. Zhuowen's eyes were cold, and he was silent. The shattering divine power surged in his fist and invaded the mechanical life form. It completely destroyed its body and obliterated its divine soul. The strength of this mechanical life form was very ordinary. It was only at the middle stage of the first blight. With Zhuowen's current cultivation, killing a first blight creature was easy. Even if it was a third blight creature, although he couldn't kill it instantly, he could completely kill it within 10 moves. Enemy attack. Attention everyone, there is a native of the Panyu star attacking us. When the mechanical life form died, the other mechanical life forms all reacted and were on guard. Bang bang bang. Unfortunately, the strength of these mechanical life forms was very ordinary. The strongest one was weaker than Hay Reef and was only at the early stage of the third blight. After Zhuowen's cultivation absorbed the energy liquid, he had a breakthrough and his strength increased greatly. With the help of the killing formation, he was like a god of death inside the formation. Wherever he passed, there would always be screams and cries of alarm from the mechanical life forms. Then, there would be a corpse on the scene. When Zhuowen destroyed the last mechanical life form with a punch, Hay Reef also returned in a white light. Master, Shinrue is forcibly breaking the formation. He is too strong. I'm afraid the restriction vortex won't last long. Hay Reef said respectfully. We will wait for him here. The moment he breaks the formation will be the moment he dies. Zhuowen sneered. He sat cross-legged outside the restriction vortex and waited quietly. Hay Reef was worried, but he couldn't say anything. After this period of time together, he had some understanding of Zhuowen's character. He knew that this person had a firm will and that it was very difficult to change his mind. If there's anything wrong, I'll just run away immediately. Although Shinrue is strong, in terms of speed, he may not be faster than me. He Reef thought to himself. He even had some hope in his heart that Juan would eventually fall in the confrontation with Shinrui. Chapter 35-26. The Pitiful Shinrui. Boom. Suddenly, the restriction vortex in front of them exploded, sending countless restriction fragments flying in all directions like fireworks. A figure slowly walked out of the dazzling restriction fragments with a surging aura. It was none other than Shinrui. Hey Jiao. You've got guts to actually sneak attack me. Are you regretting it now? Are you waiting for me to punish you? Shinrui immediately saw He Jiao not far away. As for Zhuowen, who was not far from the Black Reef, he subconsciously ignored him. In Shinrui's eyes, this human cultivator was clearly a native of the universe, and his aura was not very strong. He subconsciously thought that this was just a captive of He Jiao. He Jiao's eyes were full of fear, and he remained silent. Where are my subordinates? Shinrui was very conceited. After seeing He Jiao, he thought that He Jiao would not dare to escape and could only wait to be punished. Now that Shinrui asked about his subordinates, he had a bad feeling. Something was wrong. Are you talking about this pile of scrap metal? Juan said. He waved his right hand, and the bodies of the dozen or so mechanical life forms he had just killed scattered from the great world. Shinrui was first stunned when he saw the bodies of these mechanical life forms, and then he flew into a rage. You native ant, did you kill my subordinates? Shinrui felt like he was about to go crazy. He had aggressively led the vanguard team from Golden Corner Starry Sky in order to invade Wandering Starry Sky. However, he had only just entered the universe, and he was already at a disadvantage. He was extremely vexed. Then I'll give you a chance. Kill yourself now. I don't need to do it myself. Shinrui calmed down. He was still high and mighty, and he even threatened Zhuowen to kill himself. Vin, however, smiled. He took out a formation flag and threw it out. Instantly, a series of trap and kill formations hidden around Shinrui appeared, and then they all self-detonated. Boom boom boom. The self-detonation of the half-step heaven-crushing trap and kill formation was simply far too terrifying. Balls of energy of all different colors swept through the air, forming a series of dazzling energy storms. Shinrui's figure completely disappeared, drowned by the explosion. Hey Jiao! Let's attack together! When the energy of the explosion swept over for a period of time and began to show signs of extinguishing, Zhuowen made his move. The purple light around his body was monstrous, like a crystal-clear purple jade sculpture. Damned native, you actually dared to set up a trap here and plot against me. Shinrui roared. Amidst the endless energy explosion, he broke away, trying to escape the range of this terrifying explosion. Shinrui was in a sorry state now. His body, which had a metallic luster, was full of bumps and bruises. Black blood covered his entire body. Even one of his arms had been shattered by the explosion. Shinrui was indeed powerful. The explosion of a half-step heaven-breaching formation had unleashed a terrifying amount of energy, yet he had been able to withstand it. He had only sustained some serious injuries, but had not died. When Shinrui was about to rush out of the explosion range, Yuan had already arrived and punched out. Native, you dare? When Shinrui saw Yuan rushing toward him, his eyes were filled with anger. At the same time, killing intent rose in his heart. He did not dodge, but instead he threw out a punch. He had never thought highly of Zhuowen. He thought that he was just a native, so how powerful could he be? Boom. Their fists collided, and extremely terrifying energy ripples exploded. Shinrui, on the other hand, was shocked. He actually felt an extremely terrifying energy in Zhuowen's fist. This energy was not unfamiliar to him. It was actually the broken divine power, and it was an extremely pure broken divine power. Shinrui grunted and fell into the explosion again. His figure was drowned again. Zhuowen, on the other hand, spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was pale and he kept retreating. His expression became extremely solemn. Shinrui was very powerful, much more powerful than He Jiao. Just this exchange alone had caused him to sustain serious injuries. He felt a burning sensation in his internal organs. he knew that his internal organs had been damaged. His expression was solemn. One should know that XN-Ray was only able to display this strength after being seriously injured by the explosion of the array. If XN-Ray was at his peak, he would have been in an even more miserable state. He would have been seriously injured. Damn native! XN-Ray screamed and cursed in the explosion. He rushed out again, but this time, he did not go toward Juan. Instead, he went in the opposite direction. Hey Jiao! Juan shouted sternly. He Jiao was not far from where XN-Ray was. He Jiao naturally noticed XN-Ray's movement. His huge dragon body swept out and swung his tail at XN-Ray, who was trying to escape. Hey Jiao, how dare you join forces with a native? If the great Divine Master and the Divine Master know about this, you will become a traitor of Golden Corner Starry Sky. You will become a traitor that everyone in Golden Corner Starry Sky will want to kill. XN-Ray noticed He Jiao's attack. He was furious and cursed. Bang! He Jiao's dragon tail was smashed into a bloody mess. He Jiao's entire body was sent flying and crashed heavily to the ground. XN-Ray was not much better off. He was once again blasted into the explosion. Take this divine pill and continue. Juan did not even think about it and threw a divine pill to He Jiao. He was constantly on guard against XN-Ray. XN-Ray was too strong. He must injure XN-Ray as much as possible. Otherwise, he would have to use his final trump card to defeat XN-Ray. The price of using his final trump card was too great. If he had no other choice, he would not use it at all. He Jiao took the divine pill and was pleasantly surprised to find that his injuries were rapidly recovering. He knew that this was definitely a half-step heaven breaker divine pill. Could it be that Juan is also a half-step heaven breaker alchemist? As Juan continued to take out half-step heaven breaker divine pills to heal his injuries, an incredible idea appeared in He Jiao's mind. One had to know that half-step heaven breaker divine pills were extremely precious in the Golden Corner Starry Sky. As a mid-stage third blight cultivator, the number of half-step heaven breaker divine pills he had taken could be counted on one hand. However, the number of half-step heaven breaker divine pills that Juan took out was far more than the number of half-step heaven breaker divine pills he had obtained before. This made He Jiao's imagination run wild. After all, other than a half-step heaven breaker alchemist, how could an ordinary cultivator take out so many half-step heaven breaker divine pills at once? Thinking of this, He Jiao's gaze toward Juan changed. It was filled with respect. This meant that the native who had subdued him was not only a half-step heaven breaker divine array master, but also a half-step heaven breaker alchemist. Moreover, his strength was even stronger than his. There was no such all-round genius even in the Golden Corner Starry Sky. This was a little too shocking. Chapter 35-27. Peak of the second blight. When XN-Ray appeared on the verge of death, Juan rushed out and threw a punch at XN-Ray. XN-Ray was too weak at the moment and could only barely mobilize the energy in his body to form a protective shield around him to block Juan's punch. Bang! XN-Ray had lost his arms and could only use his body to block the attack. Unfortunately, he had less than 10% of his strength left and could not block the attack of Juan at his peak. His chest was punched through by Juan's punch. I can't accept this, you despicable native. If you didn't trick me, I would have killed you easily. XN-Ray was sent flying by the punch and slammed heavily on the ground. He roared at the sky, feeling that he had been tricked. He was very clear about Juan's strength and knew that the strength he had shown was at the peak of the third blight at most. Although this kind of strength was not bad, it was nothing compared to his peak strength. It would not be difficult for him to kill this person. However, he had been tricked. The self-destruction of several half-step heaven-breaking divine formations had blown him up. Now, he had less than 10% of his strength left, so he was being suppressed and even his life was in danger. For XN-Ray, this was too humiliating and humiliating. Bang bang bang. Juan took advantage of the situation and continued to attack. He did not give XN-Ray the slightest chance to breathe. He punched XN-Ray until his body exploded and blood splattered everywhere. However, XN-Ray was really strong. His body and divine soul were extremely powerful. Although he had been blown apart by Zhuowen again and again, he could quickly reform and recover each time. However, every time Xinrui recondensed his physical body, his aura would weaken a little. Run! Xinrui's face was extremely pale and he immediately chose to run away. He knew that if he continued to stay, he would really be beaten to death by Zhuowen. He had been tricked. When he recovered his strength, he would inform the great divine masters in Golden Galaxy's starry sky. At that time, he would regroup and make this native die miserably. Xinrui was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, he rushed towards the exit of the restriction vortex, wanting to leave this place. When Xinrui was about to reach the restriction vortex, He Jiao appeared silently and swung his huge black dragon tail, setting off a violent storm. Xinrui suffered a terrible blow to his chest and spat out a mouthful of blood as he was sent flying. He Jiao, you traitor! Xinrui looked at the giant black dragon at the exit of the restriction vortex and Black Jiao. He almost could escape, but it was destroyed by He Jiao. He Jiao Studio. Xinrui, instead Rei, Xinrui Jiao, Xinrui Studio. AO Studio, X's body, is X's. His body no. Was no. A wisp of divine soul quickly left Xinrui's body, trying to escape quietly. Unfortunately, Zhuowen's eyes were like torches. He had already seen through this wisp of divine soul and caught it in the palm of his hand. Aboriginal! You can't kill me. You don't know how powerful Golden Galaxy is. As long as you don't kill me, you'll have a chance to live when Golden Galaxy takes over your place in the future. This is your only chance. Xinrui's divine soul shouted, but there was a touch of naked arrogance in his eyes. He used Golden Galaxy to threaten Zhuowen. Haven't I killed a lot of creatures in Golden Galaxy? You're just one more. A mocking smile appeared on Zhuowen's face. With a flick of his finger, a spark shot out and landed on Xinrui's soul. Immediately, Xinrui's soul was set ablaze like a prairie fire. Xinrui screamed, his eyes filled with disbelief. Then he was completely burned into nothingness by the flames. Not far away, He Jiao looked at this scene, and his eyes were full of fear. Xinrui's status in Golden Galaxy was much higher than his. He used to be a powerhouse that he looked up to, but now he ended up in such a miserable state. As he thought of this, Black Reef's eyes were filled with fear as he looked at Zhuowen. He had to admit that this aboriginal in front of him was really terrifying. He had such terrifying strength and was a half-step heaven-breaker divine array master and alchemy master at the same time. It was best not to provoke such an existence. After destroying Xinrui's divine soul, Zhuowen's eyes were filled with excitement. He began to extract the energy liquid from Xinrui's body. He found that the stronger the cultivation of these mechanical life forms, the more powerful and terrifying the energy liquid in their body was. The level of energy contained was also extremely high. After all, Xinrui's cultivation was at the mid-4th blight. His energy liquid was much richer than the mechanical life forms in his phone. After extracting all the energy liquid from Xinrui's body, Zhuowen did the same to the remaining dozen mechanical life forms. After doing this, Zhuowen threw all the mechanical life forms' corpses to Xiaohe, letting him slowly process and digest them. He estimated that the precious materials of these mechanical life forms would be enough to let Xiaohe advance to another realm. After doing all that, Zhuowen consolidated the restriction whirlpool and set up layers upon layers of complicated restrictions. He was very confident that even if the Golden Galaxy Grand Master came in person, it would be difficult for him to break these restrictions set up by him. Moreover, he also set up many monitoring restrictions on the surface of the restriction vortex. The moment someone broke the restriction, Zhuowen would be able to detect it. At that time, he would immediately rush here and reinforce the weak points. Zhuowen returned to the ruins of the metal castle and casually created a cave abode there. Then, he ordered his human true body to go into seclusion. He wanted to absorb all of the earth energy liquid he had just obtained and use it for himself. Time gradually passed, and a month quickly passed. The cave mansion standing on the ruins of the metal castle suddenly emitted a dazzling light, and a terrifying aura surged from the cave mansion. Gotcha! In the end, the cave mansion couldn't withstand this terrifying aura and collapsed into nothingness. A figure with a mighty aura slowly walked out. He was none other than Zhuan. Zhuan's eyes flashed, and there was an imperceptible smile on the corner of his mouth. After absorbing the energy liquid of the dozen mechanical life forms, he successfully broke through to the peak of the second blight. He was not far from the third blight. He still had Xanrue's energy liquid on him that he hadn't used yet. Xanrue's energy liquid was very pure, and the energy level was very high. If Zhuan absorbed Xanrue's energy liquid, coupled with his terrifying perception, he was likely to break through again and advance to the early stage of the third blight. However, Zhuan didn't do that. He knew that the second blight was already so terrifying, so the third blight, the Earth Blight, would only be even more terrifying. He wasn't ready to pass the third blight at all, so he didn't want to break through rashly. Unless he could find some methods or items that could weaken the blight. Zhuan had heard of such things before, but they were very rare, and all of them were priceless. If he was lucky enough to find something that could weaken the blight, Zhuan was confident that he could pass the third blight. He wouldn't have any scruples and directly use Xanrue's energy liquid to break through the third blight. It's time to leave here. Chapter 35-28. Flaming Phoenix's corpse. Zhuan rode on He Jiao's head, breaking through the darkness of the natural moat and arriving above it. He Jiao, you continue to stay in the natural moat and guard the border. If anything happens, just send me a message immediately. After giving He Jiao some instructions, Zhuan left the natural moat and headed to the monster territory. He Jiao's strength wasn't bad. If he followed Shi Yan, he would definitely be a good fighter. However, He Jiao's appearance was too strange. Moreover, his body was so huge that he would definitely attract a lot of attention. Moreover, He Jiao was a mechanical life form, so he couldn't transform. This was the weakness of mechanical life forms. Because of this, Zhuan didn't bring He Jiao with him. He just let him guard the border of the natural moat. After a few days, Zhuan left the natural moat and entered the outer space. The outer space was a land of death. There weren't any planets with life forms here. Only dead planets existed, dim and lifeless. Back then, because of Devour, the Heavenly Armor Star was the only planet with life in the outer space. Zhuan had risen from the Heavenly Armor Star. However, the Heavenly Armor Star had almost fallen apart. In the end, Zhuan had refined it and placed it in the big world. Although the outer space was deathly silent, Zhuan felt a heartfelt sense of familiarity. After all, this was his origin. Zhuan's eyes revealed a nostalgic look. He started to follow his memory, heading to the place where the Heavenly Armor Star used to be. Soon, he arrived at the old site of the Heavenly Armor Star. There wasn't a single planet here, not even the remains of a meteorite. All that was left was an empty void. Zhuowen's divine sense instantly swept out and began to investigate the surroundings. He wanted to find something out of the ordinary. His god soul had reached the peak of this outer space. It was extremely powerful and was no longer the same as before. Soon, he felt that something wasn't right in the outer space. He felt a blazing aura here. However, this blazing aura was very weak. If his soul consciousness wasn't strong, he wouldn't have been able to detect it. Zhuowen's divine sense followed the scorching aura and probed deeper. Soon, he discovered a powerful forbidding aura deep in the rift. That blazing aura was leaking out from the restriction. Zhuan took out the beast bone array disc and began to crack the restrictions here. As he continued to decipher, Zhuan became more and more shocked. This was because he discovered that this restriction was extremely extraordinary. It was actually a restriction that was half a step into the Heaven-Breaker tier. Moreover, this was no ordinary half-step heaven-crushing restriction. This greatly astonished Zhuan. Zhuan spent a few days before he finally cracked the restriction in the depths of the void. After he put away the beast bone formation disc, a powerful whirlpool appeared in front of him. A scorching hot aura assaulted his face, as if there was a furnace inside. He knew that the vortex was the entrance to the depths of the void. Zhuan stepped into the whirlpool. He soon discovered that there was a small world inside the whirlpool. However, this small world was filled with red flames that never went out. It was like a furnace world, and its temperature was extremely high. In this small world of flames, the most eye-catching things were the numerous flaming mountains on the ground. These mountains burned with flames that never went out, and they were very dazzling. Soon, Zhuan noticed that there was a palace burning with terrifying flames on the mountain range at the center of the small world. This palace was very large, and it occupied almost 1/5 of the entire mountain range. Zhuan discovered that the surface of the palace was still covered with layers of restrictions. He spent a lot of effort and finally cracked the restrictions on the surface of the palace. After entering the palace, he saw a huge fire phoenix inside. To be more precise, it was the corpse of a fire phoenix. This fire phoenix was extremely handsome. Although it had already died, the aura on its body was still terrifying. Zhuan's expression was serious. This fire phoenix must have been a 5th blight powerhouse when it was alive. Its strength wouldn't have been weaker than the 3 pure ones and Wu Taiji. However, it had died and was now a corpse. In front of the fire phoenix's corpse, there was a red stone tablet. At this moment, several large words appeared on the stone tablet. Fated one, you possess the rare phoenix bloodline, and you've even passed my trial. You can take my inheritance. I hope that you won't ruin the reputation of my phoenix clan in the future. Zhuan muttered softly. He knew that the fire phoenix's inheritance had already been taken by someone else. Zhuan didn't look upset at all. He had obtained Pangu's inheritance, and it was much better than the fire phoenix's inheritance. Moreover, he had a faint guess. Didn't his wife, Mu Chenxue, have the phoenix bloodline? Could it be that the one who obtained the phoenix's inheritance was Mu Chenxue? Thinking of this, Zhuan's eyes lit up. He felt that his guess was very likely correct. At the same time, Zhuan let out a sigh of relief. If the one who obtained the fire phoenix's inheritance was really Mu Chenxue, then Mu Chenxue should be safe. However, Zhuan's mind was filled with the image of the demon clan's saintess that he had seen in the sorcerer god city. That figure was too similar to Mu Chenxue. It was as if they were carved out of the same mold. I must meet this demon clan's saintess. Zhuan's eyes were firm. He felt that the demon clan's saintess was very likely Mu Chenxue. He had to confirm it before heading to the demon clan's territory. Zhuan searched the small world for a while, but he didn't discover anything else. Then he left the place. The fire phoenix's corpse looked incomparably powerful, but the essence within its body had long been lost. Zhuan suspected that the person who obtained the inheritance must have also obtained the fire phoenix's essence. That person must have been reborn, and their cultivation must have increased greatly. Otherwise, even if the fire phoenix had been dead for so long, its essence wouldn't have been lost so cleanly. When Zhuan headed to the demon clan's territory, far away in the Panyu galaxy, inside a starry sky fruit on the top of the primordial Hongmeng tree, thousands of light years away. This was the golden starry sky. In the middle of the golden starry sky stood a huge mechanical palace. Inside the palace, a divine master in a metal cloak was silently looking at a huge screen in front of him. Divine Master, why did you call me? At this moment, an image appeared on the screen. It was a middle-aged man. However, this middle-aged man's skin and appearance were suffused with a metallic luster, as if he was a robot made of metal. Divine Master, the first and second Vanguard teams I sent out have all met with mishaps. Other than the person in charge of the first Vanguard team, He Jiao, who is still alive, the rest are dead. The Divine Master said respectfully. The Divine Master was silent. Then he said angrily, what happened? He Jiao of the first Vanguard team is at the mid-3rd decay, and Xinrui of the second Vanguard team is at the mid-4th decay. With such strength, apart from the 2 strongest powerhouses of the indigenous starry sky, there are very few people who can match them. Chapter 35-29. Heavenly City. The great Divine Master shook his head and smiled bitterly. Divine Master, I'm not sure about this either. Xinrui's team had just entered the wandering galaxy when they met with a mishap. Even I just learned about it. Isn't He Jiao still alive? Didn't you ask him? The Divine Master's eyes were cold. The great Divine Master's expression was unnatural as he said, He Jiao didn't answer me. I'm guessing that he betrayed us. The reason why Xinrui met with a mishap so quickly is probably because of He Jiao's involvement. You mean that He Jiao colluded with the natives of the Wandering Galaxy? Did He Jiao lose his mind? Doesn't he know that with the strength of our Golden Corner Starry Skyland, sooner or later, we will conquer Wandering Starry Skyland? The Divine Master felt surprised. Actually, I don't quite understand it either. After all, this explanation is the most reasonable. Perhaps He Jiao was subdued by the Wandering Galaxy's experts and was forced to participate in the extermination of Xinrui's team. The Great Divine Master said in a deep voice. I don't care if He Jiao was forced or not. Send another vanguard team to capture that traitor He Jiao. Also, have you thought of a way to solve the teleportation formation that leads to the Wandering Galaxy? It can only teleport 12 people at a time. It's too slow. If all of our Golden Corner Galaxy's troops were to be teleported there, it would take too long and alert the enemy. The Divine Master said in a deep voice. The Great Divine Master cupped his hands and said respectfully, Rest assured, Divine Master. I'm currently researching a teleportation formation that can teleport thousands of people at once. It should be completed within 100 years. However, I'm afraid that the vanguard team can't be sent out in a short time. I've already dismantled the teleportation formation that leads to the Wandering Galaxy, and I'm currently researching it. If I rearrange it, it will delay the research time. The Great Divine Master looked troubled as he said this. Then forget it. After you've successfully researched a large-scale teleportation formation, we'll send an army to the Wandering Galaxy and occupy it directly. He Jiao, that traitor, is just a fish on the chopping board. The Divine Master didn't mind, and he allowed the Great Divine Master to continue his research. After some encouragement, he disappeared from the screen. The Demon Domain's territory was extremely vast. When Zhuan entered the Demon Domain, he was stopped by the Demon Race's guards. After Zhuan took out several high-grade Heavenly Dao origin crystals, he didn't even need to check his identity and easily entered the Fiend Domain. After entering the Demon Domain, Zhuan's eyes were filled with confusion. The Demon Realm originally had 8 heavens, but when he entered the Demon Realm, he couldn't see any traces of the 8 heavens. Originally, the 8 heavens were separated by a certain distance and had their own camps, with a large number of restrictions and guards at the borders. But now, the 8 heavens had completely merged into one. There were no longer any borders or hostility like before. After the Demon Realm was unified, the living beings of the previous 8 heavens had been completely demonized, becoming true demons. Of course, the appearance of the so-called demon clan was closer to that of the human clan, but a part of their bodies would retain traces of the demon clan. There was once a saying that when the demon clan was in the primitive heavenly domain, they were a large clan on par with the shaman clan, and the human clan was only a branch of the demon clan. But the human clan's talent was too strong, and their reproduction speed surpassed that of the demon clan and the shaman clan, so the human clan's development speed was extremely fast, surpassing the demon clan and the shaman clan in an instant, and finally separated from the primitive heavenly domain. It was because of this origin that sometimes it was difficult to distinguish between the human clan and the demon clan based on appearance. However, the demon clan had a unique demonic aura that the human clan didn't have. To distinguish between the human clan and the demon clan, one just had to distinguish whether the person had demonic aura. Although there were many human clan members who came to trade in the demon domain, there were quite a number of them. But the human clan was not the demon clan, and it would be too abrupt for him to enter the demon domain as a human clan member. Fortunately, Zhuowen's primordial chaos technique was very extraordinary, and it had the ability to imitate aura. So when Zhuowen entered the demon domain, he had already used the primordial chaos technique to imitate demonic aura. The primordial chaos technique's imitation effect was flawless. Even a 5th Blight expert wouldn't be able to tell that the guy with the overwhelming demonic aura was actually a human clan member. After entering the demon domain, Yuan quickly found out that the demon domain's core city was the demon divine heavenly city. It was the demon domain's largest and most important city. Most of the demon domain's strongest experts were gathered here, and it was the demon domain's sacred ground. And the demon Saint Donghuang Tai presided over the demon divine heavenly city. 3 days later, Yuan arrived at the demon divine heavenly city without stopping. After paying enough heavenly law origin crystals, Yuan smoothly entered the city. It had to be said that the demon divine heavenly city was indeed huge and magnificent. It was comparable to the shaman clan's shaman god city, and was even bigger and more luxurious. Most of the people in the demon divine heavenly city were from the demon clan, but there were also a few humans and other races from the primitive heavenly domain. Zhuan had never seen a city like this with so many races mixed together before. After all, whether it was the primitive heavenly domain or the Xianmi heavenly domain, the people living in the corresponding cities were basically their own clansmen. Lord, you've also come to the demon divine heavenly city? Suddenly, a pleasantly surprised voice rang out. Zhuowen turned his head to look and discovered a pretty young girl hastily running over. Zhuowen revealed a surprised expression. He really did know this girl. She was one of the members of the caravan that he had met in the heavenly moat. At that time, the caravan's leader, Lu Chengfeng, had specially introduced this girl. Her name seemed to be Li, and she was Lu Chengfeng's granddaughter. Li arrived in front of Zhuan, very happy. At the same time, she didn't dare to get too close to Zhuan. Back then, in the heavenly moat, the terrifying scene of Zhuan fighting the black dragon was still vivid in her mind. She knew that this youth who didn't look very eye-catching was actually a terrifying half-step heaven-breaking realm powerhouse. This kind of powerhouse, even in the demon divine heavenly city, was also a pinnacle powerhouse. He could completely do whatever he wanted in the demon divine heavenly city. Yuer's small actions were seen by Zhuowen, but he didn't mind and just smiled faintly. At the same time, he also noticed that there was a group of people following behind Li. The most conspicuous person in this group was a hook-nosed youth in the lead. This hook-nosed youth's eyes were filled with ruthlessness, and his body was surging with killing intent. One look and one could tell that this kind of terrifying murderous aura could only be produced by fighting all year round. Who is he? The hook-nosed youth took a step forward, deliberately getting close to Li, and then looked at Zhuowen with a rather unfriendly gaze. Li's beautiful eyes revealed a trace of fear. She was clearly rather fearful of the hook-nosed youth. This lord is... Chapter 35:30. Bailey Chioling. Oh, so that's how it is. You owe our Thunderbolt trading firm a life. Your cultivation is not bad, be this young master's lackey. Don't worry, I won't mistreat you. The hook-nosed youth said coldly. When Zhuan used the primordial mantra to simulate the demonic qi, he had also concealed his cultivation base. The cultivation base he displayed now was only that of an early-stage Genesis lord. The hook-nosed youth was young, but his cultivation base was not bad. He had already reached the creation lord level. Furthermore, the guards behind the hook-nosed man were even more impressive. They were basically all Empyrean lords, and the strongest of them was an azure-robed old man, who was already at the mid-stage Empyrean lord realm. This hook-nosed youth's status in the Thunderbolt trading firm was not low. One had to know that the leader of the caravan, Lu Chengfeng, was only a peak Genesis lord. It was said that he had some status in the Thunderbolt trading firm. However, looking at this hook-nosed youth's lineup, Lu Chengfeng's cultivation base and status really did not amount to much. It was no wonder that Li was afraid of this hook-nosed youth. Answer me. The hook-nosed youth saw that Zhuan was deep in thought and did not answer him. His face instantly darkened, and his voice became somewhat sharp and cold. Zhuan looked indifferently at the hook-nosed youth. He did not want to cause trouble, but he also did not intend to become this hook-nosed youth's lackey. Sorry, I don't intend to join any faction. As he spoke, Zhuan beckoned Li to follow him. He had a feeling that Li was being forced to follow this hook-nosed youth. Li looked at the hook-nosed youth whose expression was getting uglier and uglier. She was very worried, but she also knew that if she wanted to get rid of this hook-nosed youth, she could only follow Zhuan. She knew very well what kind of powerhouse Zhuan was. Being able to obtain his protection was definitely a blessing that she had cultivated in her previous life. Thinking of this, Li gritted her teeth and followed Zhuan. Are you rebelling? How dare you follow an ant that does not belong to any faction? You have to know that if I want to crush this ant to death, I only need to wave a finger. When the hook-nosed youth saw that Li actually wanted to leave with Zhuan, he finally exploded. Several of his subordinates behind him immediately blocked Zhuan's path. What? You want to fight? Within the Demon Sage Heavenly City, it is clearly stated that no one is allowed to act on their own accord. Otherwise, they will be killed without mercy. Zhuan turned around and looked indifferently at the hook-nosed youth. Kill without mercy? What a joke! Let me tell you, rules are dead, but people are alive. These rules only apply to you ants with no background. I am the young master of one of the 4 great trading companies, Thunderbolt Trading Company. If I want to kill someone in Demon Divine Heavenly City, why would I need to explain? The hook-nosed young man sneered. Soon after, he said sinisterly, take down these 2 people and kill the man immediately. Take Li first. I want to take her back and enjoy her first before killing her. Alright. Li, you made me very unhappy. Your grandfather, Lu Chengfeng, has to die too. When the time comes, I'll let him be buried with you. The 2 of you will have a companion when you go to the Yellow Springs. At this moment, many onlookers gathered around. But when they discovered that the person in charge was Thunderbolt Trading Company's young master, Lei Lingyun, they discussed in low voices, their eyes revealing fear. Clearly, Thunderbolt Trading Company was very influential in this Demon Divine Heavenly City. Yo, isn't this young Master Lei? Why are you so angry? Suddenly, a crisp female voice with a hint of mockery slowly came over. Zhuan could not help looking over. He saw that not far away, a group of several dozen people strolled over in a grandiose manner. The person in the lead was a woman with a heroic aura. Although this woman was not considered gorgeous, she was also extremely pleasing to the eye. Especially the heroic aura emitting from her body gave her a unique charm. Li shrank beside Zhuan and quietly introduced, Sir, this is the young master of Spirit Phoenix Trading Company, one of the 4 great trading companies, Bailey Chioling. His status is not inferior to Lei Lingyun at all. Zhuan nodded. Li had long quietly told him the status of the 4 great trading companies in the Demon Realm. According to Li, in the Demon Realm, apart from the Demon Saint Palace, the most powerful forces were these 4 great trading companies. Moreover, behind these 4 great trading companies were secretly supported by half-step heaven-breaking realm powerhouses. Zhuan was somewhat surprised. The Demon Realm was one of the 3 great regions along with Xianmi Heavenly Domain and Primitive Heavenly Domain. There were no half-step heaven-breaking realm powerhouses in Xianmi Heavenly Domain and Primitive Heavenly Domain, but there were actually more than one in the Demon Realm. But soon, Zhuan realized that it was not that the Xianmi Heavenly Domain and the Untainted Heavenly Domain did not have any experts half a step to the heaven-breaking realm, but such experts had all entered the heaven-accessing place. And the Demon Realm's half-step heaven-breaking realm powerhouses clearly did not enter the heaven-reaching secret realm. After all, the Demon Realm's establishment time was seriously too short and could be considered completely independent. The majority of the half-step heaven-breaking realm powerhouses here stayed in the Demon Realm. Moreover, Zhuan guessed that the number of half-step heaven-breaking realm powerhouses in the Demon Realm should be extremely few. Furthermore, the majority should be powerhouses who survived from ancient times. There were probably no newly advanced half-step heaven-breaking realm powerhouses. Lei Lingyun frowned. He looked at Bailey Chioling, who was slowly walking over, and said in a solemn voice, Bailey Chioling, this is our family matter. Could it be that you also want to poke a foot into it? The corners of Bailey Chioling's mouth curled slightly, and she waved her hand and said, Lei Lingyun, of course I won't interfere in your family matters. But you also know my personality. I like beautiful women. The purer the beauty, the more I like it. Speaking up to here, Bailey Chioling looked at Li who was curled up beside Zhuan, and said, I came today for the beauty. This little beauty is so pure and lovely, I want her. Lei Lingyun's face darkened, and he said coldly, Bailey Chioling, you damn pervert. Li Er is my Thunderbolt Trading Company's member, not your Spirit Phoenix Trading Company's member. Bailey Chioling smiled faintly and said, a high-grade Heavenly Dao Origin vein. I want to buy this lovely person. Lei Lingyun was stunned. He did not expect that this Bailey Chioling was so rich and overbearing to actually directly use a high-grade Heavenly Dao Origin vein to buy a woman. This was seriously too extravagant. Fine. If you really give me a high-grade Heavenly Dao Origin vein, Li Er is yours. Lei Lingyun was not a fool. Although he was lustful, he also knew the severity of the matter. A high-grade Heavenly Dao Origin vein's value far surpassed Li Er herself. And if he wanted women, it was seriously too easy. There were plenty of women. If this Li Er did not want, then he did not want. Li Er's complexion was deathly pale. She did not expect that Lei Lingyun would actually sell her out just like this, and did not even consult with her personal opinion. This is a transfer token. In the northeast direction of the Demon region, there's a high-grade Heavenly Dao Origin vein. It's your Thunderbolt Trading Company's now. And this little beauty is mine. Bailey Chioling threw a token to Lei Lingyun very forthrightly. Lei Lingyun received the token. After confirming that there was no mistake, he had people bring Li Er away and hand her over to Bailey Chioling. Have you all consulted Li Er's opinion? Zhuowen's gaze was calm, his indifferent voice coming out. But Lei Lingyun burst into laughter and said mockingly, who the hell do you think you are? You're going to be a dead man right away, still making random noise in front of me. You really think that you're somebody? Speaking up to here, Lei Lingyun's gaze immediately became fierce. He said coldly, what are you all still watching for? Directly take her down. Chapter 35-31. Scared silly Lei Lingyun brought 5 people this time. Among them, 4 were initial stage Heavenspan Lords, while the remaining old man was middle stage Heavenspan Lord, the highest cultivation among the 5. Now, the ones surrounding Jun and Li Er were 4 of them. While that old man had his hands behind his back, standing not far away, watching indifferently. Clearly, he had no intention of interfering. Although Li Er looked timid, she was very calm in her heart. She knew Zhuowen inside out and knew that Zhuowen's strength was terrifying. Among those present, there was really no one who was his match. Bang, bang, bang. The 4 subordinates of the Thunderbolt trading firm all made their moves and rushed toward Zhuowen. Of course, they did not join forces to deal with Zhuowen. The attacks they blasted out were also extremely casual. They were humiliating Zhuowen, not taking Zhuowen seriously at all. The reason why they all attacked was merely to deal with Lei Lingyun's orders. Zhuowen's gaze was calm. He neither dodged nor defended, but stood in place, not moving at all. Looks like this kid was scared silly. Lei Lingyun could not help laughing loudly when he saw Zhuowen's performance. His expression could be said to be exaggerated to the extreme. Not far away, the heroic Bailey Chioling also secretly shook her head, her beautiful eyes revealing a trace of disdain. She already determined that Jun was a good-for-nothing coward. At the same time, Bailey Chioling was also somewhat worried that the aftermath of the battle would hurt Li. The 4 people's attacks all landed on Zhuowen, but Zhuowen still did not move. A special energy surged around him, spreading out and pouring into the surrounding 4 people's bodies. Bang, bang, bang. Instantly, those 4 people's bodies all exploded into bloody mists. They did not even have time to let out a scream before their divine souls and physical bodies were completely destroyed. At this moment, the brilliant smile on Lei Lingyun's face suddenly froze. Only to see Lei Lingyun stare with wide eyes, looking at this scene in disbelief. His 4 initial stage Heavenspan Realm guards fell just like that. As for Zhuowen who was being attacked, he didn't do anything. He just stood there without moving. This was simply too strange. I'll deal with him. The old man who was standing not far away to watch the show also had a serious look in his eyes. He also had some doubts about what had just happened and wanted to try it himself. In an instant, the old man appeared in front of Zhuowen and threw out a punch. Space and time exploded, and the surrounding laws seemed to be thrown into chaos by this punch. However, the old man soon realized that something was wrong. The moment his fist landed on Zhuowen's body, it was as if time had stopped. His fist could not advance any further. At the same time, a mysterious and powerful force spread out from Zhuowen's body and entered his body through his fist. As soon as this energy entered his body, it began to wantonly destroy his internal organs and meridians. Even if he continuously stimulated the heavenly energy in his body, it was completely useless. In front of this energy, the heavenly energy was as weak as tofu. These two types of energy were not on the same level at all. What kind of power is this? The old man barely managed to ask this question. His body exploded into clouds of blood mist, and his body and soul were destroyed. What the hell is going on? Lei Lingyun sat on the ground, his face full of horror. These 5 guards were specially sent by his father to protect him. They were considered elite experts in the Thunderbolt trading firm. Under the protection of these 5 guards, he would not be in any danger. This was because even if a late-stage or peak-stage Heavenspan Realm Master came, they would not be able to take down these 5 guards in a short time. But now, his 5 guards had mysteriously fallen, and the culprit didn't seem to have moved at all. This was too strange. Bailey Chioling, who was originally watching the show, looked at Zhuowen with her beautiful eyes in shock. She also saw the scene just now, and she only felt that it was completely unbelievable. Those were 5 Heavenspan Realm Masters. How could they die so cleanly in front of her? Wasn't this too casual? Although Bailey Chioling didn't know the details, she was no fool. She knew that the deaths of the 5 Heavenspan Realm Masters must have something to do with Zhuowen. Did you just say that I'm going to be a dead man soon? Zhuowen asked. His gaze fell on Lei Lingyun, a faint smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. In Lei Lingyun's eyes, this smile was full of mockery. Lei Lingyun's body stiffened. Just as he was about to speak, a terrifying aura suddenly came from the depths of Demon Divine Sky City. A figure hurried over and landed between Zhuowen and Lei Lingyun in the blink of an eye. It was a man clad in bronze armor and a bronze helmet. His entire face was covered by the helmet, only revealing a pair of cold eyes. The man's cultivation was extraordinary. He'd reached the peak of the Heavenspan realm. His entire body was suffused with a terrifying demonic aura that seemed to break through the heavens. This was definitely a terrifyingly powerful monster spirit. Who's so gutsy? Actually daring to kill people in Demon Divine Sky City? The man's divine perception was very sensitive. He detected that there were people dying around him at a glance. Moreover, it wasn't just one person. The man in bronze armor glanced at Zhuowen coldly. He could tell at a glance that the one who killed was this man in front of him. However, everything had to be based on evidence. Therefore, he did not question Zhuowen the moment he arrived. Instead, he cupped his hands at Bailey Chioling and Lei Lingyun. Miss Bailey, Mr. Lei, do you know who was the one who made a move just now? Our Demon Divine Sky City forbids private fights. It's a clear rule. No one can violate it. As a law enforcer, I'll definitely enforce the law impartially, the man in bronze armor said in a deep voice. Bailey Chioling's beautiful eyes swiveled around. She deliberately raised her head and did not look at the man in bronze armor, looking like it had nothing to do with her. She was very smart. From the strength Zhuowen displayed just now, she could conclude that this person was very likely a half-step heaven-breaking tier elite. This person did not even make a move, and 5 heaven-breaking tier cultivators died just like that. Among them, there was even a mid-stage heaven-breaking tier elite. This kind of method, even peak heaven-breaking tier elites did not have. Only legendary half-step heaven-breaking tier elites could possibly do it. She would not take the initiative to provoke such an elite. On the contrary, Bailey Chioling began to think about how to build a good relationship with such an elite. Meanwhile, Lei Lingyun was completely frightened. The Bailey Chioling could guess that Zhuowen was a half-step heaven-breaking tier elite. He naturally also thought of it. He secretly groaned in his heart. How could he randomly provoke a half-step heaven-breaking tier elite? This kind of elite was high and mighty in the demon realm, and could not be offended. And their thunder-bearing trading company was extremely powerful and famous in the demon realm. However, they only had one half-step heaven-breaking tier elite. This kind of elite was not someone he could casually offend. If the patriarch of the thunder-bearing trading company knew that he had caused such a big trouble, he would probably be done for. Lei Lingyun was cursing Zhuowen in his heart. You're such a badass elite. Why did you hide your cultivation level? Pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger? This really screwed him over. Seeing that Bailey Qiuling and Lei Lingyun were silent, the man in bronze armor frowned slightly. He did not ask any more, and instead looked at Zhuowen and said indifferently, "Did you kill those 5 people just now?" Chapter 35-32. Golden Cicada Shedding Talisman. Who do you think you are? Thunderbolt Trading Company is one of the 4 great trading companies of the demon realm, and it has a large business. How could it knowingly break the law? It must be you who initiated the provocation and even attacked to kill. You can plead guilty and come with me. The man in azure armor said proudly. He had only seen Lei Lingyun's 5 subordinates being killed by Zhuowen, but he didn't know the specific cultivation of those 5 subordinates. In addition, Zhuowen's current aura was very ordinary, so he subconsciously thought that Zhuowen was only a loose cultivator without any background. He had been an enforcer for so many years and received many benefits from the 4 great trading companies. Many of the things that the 4 great trading companies violated the rules, he tacitly approved, and was biased towards the people of the 4 great trading companies. And this time was no exception. What if I say I don't go? Zhuowen's eyes revealed coldness. This man in azure armor was so domineering, wanting to take him away without distinguishing between right and wrong. This was a bit too biased, wasn't it? Don't go? That's not up to you. The man in azure armor sneered, and suddenly grabbed out with his right hand. A powerful palm shot out, grabbing at Zhuowen's neck, obviously wanting to grab Zhuowen's neck. Puchi. But soon, the man in azure armor discovered that his right hand was easily grabbed by Zhuowen, and then a terrifying power came, and his right hand directly collapsed into a bloody mist. You're a half-step breaking heaven tier elite? The man in azure armor covered his injured right arm, his forehead full of cold sweat, and looked at Zhuowen with a deathly pale face. He finally understood why Bailey Qiuling and Lei Lingyun both remained silent. This young man in front of him was actually pretending to be weak, and his true cultivation was actually a half-step breaking heaven tier elite. This was too shocking. Now you still want to take me away? Zhuowen's voice was very cold, and instantly made the man in azure armor feel as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. He hurriedly knelt, and straightforwardly begged for mercy. This was a legendary half-step shattering heaven realm powerhouse. In the entire demon region, such a powerhouse was also as rare as phoenix feathers and Qilin horns. Moreover, a half-step breaking heaven tier elite had many privileges in the demon Saint Heavenly City, and he had offended such an elite. Even if he was killed, it would serve him right. The demon Saint Palace would not step in for him. After all, a cultivator half a step into the heaven-shattering tier couldn't be offended, and if one took the initiative to offend him, they deserved to die. Scram, Zhuowen said coldly. For this green-armored man to be able to become the enforcer of the demon Saint Heavenly City, he was most likely an important person in the demon Saint Palace. And this time, Zhuowen did not come to the demon Saint Palace to start a feud, but to meet with the demon Saint Palace's saintess. Furthermore, there was another reason why Zhuowen had let the green-armored man go, and that was to have him report back to the demon Sage Palace. The sudden appearance of an unfamiliar elite suspected to be half a step into the heaven-breaking realm in Demon Divine Heavenly City would definitely attract the attention of Demon Divine Palace. At that time, the upper echelons of Demon Divine Palace would definitely come looking for him. And when he did, he would naturally be able to step into the Demon Sage's palace. Thank you, my lord. The green-armored man thanked him profusely and immediately fled in terror. My lord. Just now, Lingyun was blind and did not know that my lord was actually half a step into the heaven-breaking realm. My lord can punish Lingyun however you want, as long as you spare Lingyun's life. Lei Lingyun knelt on the ground with a thump under everyone's astonished gazes, and said with a trembling voice. Zhuowen looked calmly at Lei Lingyun. This Lei Lingyun was vicious and merciless, arrogant and domineering, and had no mercy in his heart. Li did nothing. Just because she wanted to go with him, he tortured Li to death and even wanted Lu Chengfeng to be buried with her. Zhuan loathed such a heartless person in his heart. He had to kill this Lei Lingyun without a doubt. Lei Lingyun felt the killing intent in Zhuowen's eyes. He decisively took out a jade talisman and tore it apart. His entire person turned into a golden light and disappeared on the spot. It's actually the golden cicada shedding talisman. This Lei Ming really valued Lei Lingtian enough, even leaving such a precious escape talisman to Lei Lingtian. Bailey Qiuling muttered to herself, a hint of shock in her beautiful eyes. Zhuowen frowned. That golden cicada shedding talisman was indeed extraordinary. After Lei Lingtian activated it just now, he actually completely could not capture Lei Lingtian's aura, resulting in Lei Lingtian escaping just like that. However, Zhuowen did not mind either. Lei Lingtian's debt, he would definitely settle it. When the time came, he would personally make a trip to the Violent Thunder Trading Company. This one is Spirit Phoenix Trading Company's Bailey Qiuling, greets my lord. May I know my lord's esteemed name? Bailey Qiuling came forward to curry favor, her beautiful eyes full of fervor, and at the same time, there was also thick reverence. I remember that you wanted to buy my friend just now. Zhuan did not answer Bailey Qiuling, but changed the topic. Bailey Qiuling's heart suddenly skipped a beat. She hurriedly took out a token and said, my lord, calm your anger. I was just joking just now. This is the transfer token of a high-grade Heavenly Dao origin crystal vein in the northwest of the Demon region. Take it as Qiuling's apology for joking just now. Zhuan did not stand on ceremony, putting away the token with a clear conscience, secretly sighing in his heart that this Bailey Qiuling was really rich and overbearing. This girl had just given Lei Lingyun a high-grade Heavenly Dao origin crystal vein just now, and now she could actually take out another one. This wealth was really unparalleled. Seeing Zhuan accept the token, Bailey Qiuling breathed a sigh of relief, and then said enthusiastically, my lord, our Spirit Phoenix Trading Company is one of the 4 great trading companies in the Demon region. If my lord has the time, you can come to our Spirit Phoenix Trading Company's headquarters for a visit. This is our Spirit Phoenix Trading Company's headquarters entry token. As long as my lord wants to come to the Spirit Phoenix Trading Company, you can smoothly enter the Spirit Phoenix Trading Company with this token. At that time, Qiuling will definitely entertain my lord well. Zhuan accepted Bailey Qiuling's token as well. Even though he didn't intend to go to the Spirit Phoenix Trading Company, he couldn't refuse since Bailey Qiuling was so enthusiastic. Miss Bailey, I still have some matters to attend to at the Thunderbolt Trading Company, so I won't stay here any longer. Farewell. Zhuan cupped his hands towards Bailey Qiuling, and then he brought Li and walked towards the Thunderbolt Trading Company's headquarters. Even though he didn't know the location of the Thunderbolt Trading Company's headquarters, Li knew. She was a member of the Thunderbolt Trading Company after all. Looking at Zhuowen's departing figure, the smile on Bailey Qiuling's face vanished. Miss, this person is going to get even with the Thunderbolt Trading Company. A middle-aged man beside Bailey Qiuling said with a solemn expression. This person is too arrogant. Even though he's also a half-step Heaven Breaker stage expert, the Thunderbolt Trading Company also has one. Moreover, the Thunderbolt Trading Company's headquarters is covered in layers of restrictions. If this person enters the Thunderbolt Trading Company alone, then I'm afraid he won't be able to leave. Another old man echoed. The subordinates beside Bailey Qiuling spoke one after another, and they'd basically already sentenced Zhuan to death. They felt that Zhuan overestimated his ability and actually went to barge into the Thunderbolt Trading Company alone. This person is indeed conceited. I'll go back and report to the ancestor. If possible, I'll ask the ancestor to save this person's life. Then, this person will be deeply grateful to our Spirit Phoenix Trading Company, and it's even possible for him to join our Spirit Phoenix Trading Company. Chapter 35-33. Divine Horn Protector. Inside the Demon Saint Palace, in a magnificent palace, a green-armored man knelt on the ground, trembling. In front of the green-armored man stood an old man in a long robe. This old man had very small horns on his head, and his expression was cold. His entire body was filled with extremely terrifying demonic chi. The demonic chi on this old man's body was really too terrifying. The entire palace seemed to be about to collapse under the influence of this demonic chi. The green-armored man knelt there, not daring to say a word. He didn't even dare to look at this old man. This was because he knew that this long-robed old man in front of him was an important figure in the Demon Saint Palace. He was the Divine Horn Protector, ranked second among the 5 protectors of the Demon Saint Palace. The Divine Horn Protector's cultivation was extremely terrifying. It was said that he had already reached the peak of the 3rd blight, and was second only to the Demon Saint and the Great Protector. His reputation and status were extremely high. You're saying that you met a half-step heaven-breaking realm elite in the Demon Saint Heavenly City? And it's a lone cultivator? The Divine Horn Protector's back was facing the green-armored man. His voice was calm and carried an unquestionable tone. The green-armored man's heart trembled slightly, and he nodded in agreement. And you even threatened to capture him and even attacked him? The Divine Horn Protector continued, his voice carrying a trace of tyranny. The green-armored man's entire body trembled, and he could only brace himself and agree. Bang! A terrifying force swept over, and the green-armored man directly spat out a mouthful of blood. He flew backward and crashed heavily onto the ground. Lord Protector, please spare my life. At this moment, the Divine Horn Protector had already turned around, and his gaze was very cold as he stared at the green-armored man. The green-armored man's hair stood on end, and his body kept twitching and spasming due to the intense pain. You dare to provoke a half-step heaven-breaking realm elite, and you even use the name of the Demon Saint Palace. You're simply a disgrace to my Demon Saint Palace. Break your remaining arm and find that fellow cultivator. Then you can go and ask for punishment. If you can't get that fellow cultivator's forgiveness, then choose to kill yourself. Otherwise, you'll see what I can do. The Divine Horn Protector's voice was very calm, but his deep eyes contained terrifying killing intent. It was as if this pair of eyes from hell. The green-armored man was so scared that he bent down. The God Horn Enforcers were in charge of the law enforcement in the Demon Saint Palace. Their methods were extremely cruel. Even though he was a peak master, he was still afraid of the God Horn Enforcers' methods. Poochie! The green-armored man decisively, and was, his forehead covered in cold sweat. Of his body, this subordinate is. It's just that this subordinate doesn't know where that lord is now. The green-armored man endured the pain and said in a low voice, Is star? Is horn? Is. Moreover, the Violent Thunder Trading Company has set up a half-step heaven breaker great formation. If this person barges in, I'm afraid that the odds are stacked against him. Lord, is to die? Is Lord, is? Why do I have to apologize to a dead man? The green-armored man couldn't help but blurt out. Idiot. Half-step shattering heaven realm powerhouses are highly sought after wherever they go. Our Demon Saint Palace is no exception. When this person is in danger in the Thunderbolt trading firm, I will show up and you will apologize. That fellow cultivator will not lower himself to deal with you, and he will be grateful to our Demon Saint Palace. At that time, he will join our Demon Saint Palace. The Divine Horn Guardian said calmly. Lord Protector is wise. The azure-armored man let out a light sigh of relief. From the words of the Divine Horn Protector, he was able to discern that the latter intended to protect him, and at the same time rope in that half-step heaven-shattering realm-independent cultivator. As for his severed arms, all he had to do was consume a bit more of his origin energy and he would be able to recover them smoothly. As long as he didn't lose his life, this was a small matter. Follow me to the Thunderbolt trading firm. The Divine Horn Protector's eyes were like torches. He waved his right hand and grabbed the green-armored man. Then, with a leap, he disappeared from the spot. While the Divine Horn Guardian led the man in azure armor to the Thunderbolt trading firm, the ancestor of the Spirit Phoenix trading firm led several people, including Bailey Chioling, to the Thunderbolt trading firm. At this moment, the Thunderbolt trading firm was in a state of panic. The atmosphere in the originally calm Thunderbolt trading firm had become very solemn at this moment. Moreover, the only half-step heaven-shattering realm formation in the Thunderbolt trading firm had also been activated. Looking from afar, one could see that the Thunderbolt trading firm occupied a large area that was shrouded in a misty cloud, and it was impossible to see clearly. Inside the Thunderbolt trading firm, except for a few higher-ups who had gone out to do things, almost all of them were gathered in the meeting hall. The current president of the Thunderbolt trading firm, Lei Ming, sat at the head of the table with a solemn expression. Lei Ming's aura was very vast. Earth chi surged in his nostrils, and with a whoosh, it formed 2 white chi dragons. Lei Ming was a peak heaven-shattering realm expert, and he wasn't an ordinary peak heaven-shattering realm expert. Lei Lingyun sat in an inconspicuous position below, his head drooping, his expression dispirited and fearful. He knew that he had made a big mistake. "President, what's going on? Why did you summon us in such a hurry, and even activate the formation in the trading firm?" In the meeting hall, the higher-ups were all shocked and bewildered when they saw Lei Ming being so cautious. They all had a premonition that something big was about to happen. Lei Ming glared fiercely at Lei Lingyun, and then said in a deep voice, "Lingyun accidentally provoked a half-step heaven-shattering realm expert in the demon divine heavenly city." As soon as these words came out, the entire meeting hall was as noisy as a frying pan. What? Half-step heaven-shattering realm expert? What's going on with young Master Lei? He actually provoked such an expert? Isn't this causing trouble for our trading firm? Half-step heaven-shattering realm expert? Young Master Lei, don't you have eyes for such an expert? You actually dared to provoke him? The higher-ups in the meeting hall all glared angrily. They all knew that when Lei Lingyun was in the demon divine heavenly city, he often caused trouble, relying on the name of the Thunderbolt trading firm. In addition, Lei Lingyun was extremely intelligent and never provoked those with background, so he had always been peaceful. But this time, things were serious. This Lei Lingyun actually provoked a half-step heaven-shattering realm expert. This was simply digging his own grave. Their Thunderbolt trading firm only had one such expert. If this expert didn't give up and directly attacked their Thunderbolt trading firm, it would be a devastating disaster for their trading firm. Alright, you don't have to blame Lingyun. The main thing is that expert concealed his own cultivation and took the initiative to interfere in Lingyun's private affairs. That's why this happened. Lei Ming's face darkened and he said coldly. The meeting hall immediately fell silent. Although many higher-ups were very dissatisfied with Lei Lingyun's way of doing things, the Thunderbolt trading firm was the Lei family's sovereignty after all. Moreover, the Thunderbolt trading firm currently had only one half-step heaven-shattering realm expert, and that was the Lei family's patriarch. In the Thunderbolt trading firm, the Lei family could be said to be able to cover the sky with one hand, and they didn't dare to offend the Lei family. In the hall, a middle-aged man stood up and asked in a deep voice, "President, you've made it so grand now. Doesn't that mean that expert will personally come to the Thunderbolt trading firm?" Chapter 35-34. Lei Longyin, President. Rashly starting a war with a half-step heaven-breaking realm powerhouse is seriously unwise. Even if our Thunderbolt trading company can win, we'll probably have to pay a tremendous price too. This is absolutely a devastating disaster to our Thunderbolt trading company. Hope that President will think twice before acting. In the hall, another man stood up and urged, "You all rest assured, I don't want to start a war either. If this person rushes over to Thunderbolt Trading Company, then I'll explain clearly with him and apologize. If he still doesn't accept, then we can only meet on the battlefield," Thundercry said solemnly. Suddenly, a figure rushed in from the door. It was a manservant who reported, "Milord, outside Thunderbolt Trading Company, there's a cultivator who claims to be Zhuoan, coming to find Mr. Lei to collect a debt." The trading company's guards moved to intercept this person, but they were all subdued by this person. The manservant said with a trembling voice, "Came so fast, this Zhuoan is likely that half-step heaven-breaking realm powerhouse that Lingyun offended." Thundercry stood up and said with a slight change in expression, Lei Lingyun's face even revealed a look of fear. He looked at Thundercry, his eyes full of pleading. At the same time, the communication jade talisman at Thundercry's waist also lit up. He opened the communication jade talisman, his eyes revealing a sharp light as he said, "Let's go out. Ancestor has already exited seclusion and arrived at the trading company. With Ancestor around, this Yuan won't dare to act unscrupulously in our Thunderbolt trading company. Also, bring along Lu Qingfeng, that old fogey. This old fart really raised a good daughter." As he said, Thundercry brought everyone out of the meeting hall. And the upper echelons in the hall all revealed relieved looks when they heard that Ancestor had returned from seclusion. Facing a half-step heaven-breaking realm, this kind of expert, they were really somewhat at a loss. Now, only the trading company's Ancestor had the qualifications to speak face-to-face with that Zhuan. Zhuan stood in front of Thunderbolt Trading Company. This Thunderbolt Trading Company was built on top of a massive mountain range. It was said that this mountain range would have lightning all year round, hence the name Thunderbolt Trading Company also got its name. Zhuan already entered the trading company's mountain gate at the foot of the mountain, and the guards guarding the mountain gate had long been knocked out by him. Behind the mountain gate was a white jade staircase that led straight to the headquarters of the Thunderbolt trading firm at the top of the mountain. Zhuan walked slowly while Li Er followed closely behind. At this moment, Li Er was unable to restrain the excitement in her heart. She finally witnessed the supreme might of a legendary half-step breaking heaven-tier powerhouse. Zhuan didn't even need to do anything when he entered the Thunderbolt trading firm. The guards who had tried to stop him fell to the ground one after another. She knew that these were all Zhuan's methods. "Fellow Taoist, please stop here." Just as Zhuan was slowly walking on the white jade steps with his hands behind his back, an aged and dignified voice came from the distance. In an instant, before the voice had completely dissipated, a figure had already landed on the stairs 10 meters in front of Zhuan. This was an old man with a long beard. He wore a linen robe, and the wrinkles on his face were filled with age spots. At first glance, he looked like a dying old man with one foot in the coffin. Zhuan carefully sized up the old man in front of him with a strange gaze. The aura of the old man in front of him was very strange. Although it seemed to be the aura of the early stage of the first blight, upon closer inspection, one would find that the old man's aura seemed to be lacking in vitality, and his body was full of death qi. This old man hasn't completely passed the first blight, Earth Blight. His advancement isn't complete enough, causing his lifespan to be damaged. "I'm afraid he doesn't have many years left to live," Zhuan thought to himself. He could see the problem with the old man at a glance and couldn't help but shake his head. Zhuan's shake of the head made the old man very unhappy. Just as he was about to speak, more than 10 people walked down the white jade steps above, led by a burly middle-aged man. Lei Lingyun followed closely behind the middle-aged man. When he saw Zhuan, his legs immediately went soft and he didn't dare to look at Zhuan. Zhuan glanced at the middle-aged man. Li Er didn't need to say anything. He could guess that this middle-aged man should be the president of the Thunderbolt trading firm, Lei Ming. Lei Ming greets the ancestor. Lei Ming rushed forward excitedly and bowed to the old man. The people behind Lei Ming also stepped forward and bowed. Their eyes were filled with respect. The ancestor of the Thunderbolt trading firm, Lei Longyin, just nodded and then his gaze fell on Zhuan, revealing a look of surprise. For some reason, he actually couldn't see the specific cultivation of the young man in front of him. Moreover, the young man in front of him looked a little too young. Although cultivators could change their appearance to maintain their youthful state, the aura of the old man's aura was difficult to conceal. However, the aura of the vicissitudes of life on his body was difficult to conceal, and he was certain that the young man in front of him was definitely less than 10,000 years old. Did such a young half-step heaven-breaking realm cultivator really exist? Although Lei Longyin didn't believe it in his heart, he still didn't let his guard down. After all, he couldn't see Zhuan's specific cultivation. Moreover, he also thought that the young man in front of him was young. Even if he really had a half-step heaven-breaking realm cultivation, he was probably on the same level as him. And the Thunderbolt trading firm he was in contained a half-step heaven-breaking realm formation.
Although it was only at the elementary level, it was more than enough to trap a first blight cultivator. I'm Thunderbolt Trading Firm's Lei Longyin. I wonder why fellow Taoist has come to visit my Thunderbolt Trading Firm? Moreover, not only did you barge into my firm, but you also injured my people. What is the meaning of this? Lei Longyin stood there, and a powerful aura erupted from his body, causing the surrounding pressure to increase sharply. Zhuan sized up Lei Longyin and frowned slightly. Lei Longyin's attitude was really overestimating himself and the Thunderbolt Trading Firm. Why did I come to the Thunderbolt Trading Firm? Didn't Lei Ming tell you? Do you need me to say it again? Zhuan asked indifferently. Lei Longyin looked at the calm Zhuan under his aura in surprise. He knew that he had misjudged. The young man in front of him really might be a half-step heaven-breaking realm cultivator. Lei Lingyun, get out here. Lei Longyin retracted his aura and shouted behind him. Although he didn't like Zhuan, it didn't mean that he was a fool. If it wasn't a last resort, he didn't want to clash head-on with a half-step heaven-breaking realm cultivator. Lei Lingyun trembled all over, but in the end he still walked out trembling. He knew that he couldn't disobey the ancestors' orders. Otherwise, he would have a good time. But Lei Longyin slapped Lei Lingyun to the ground without holding back and said coldly, "You did it yourself, so you have to bear the consequences. Why aren't you apologizing to this fellow Taoist?" Lord Zhuo Lingyun was confused for a moment. "I hope that Lord can spare my life for the ancestors' sake." Lei Lingyun apologized humbly. Lei Longyin nodded, and then he cupped his hands toward Zhuo and said, "Fellow Taoist, Lingyun has already apologized solemnly. I think this matter can be taken as a misunderstanding, and you don't have to take it to heart." Zhuan stood in place and looked coldly at Lei Longyin. Chapter 35:35. Lei Lingyun covered his cheek and shivered as he shrank to the side, but he sighed softly in his heart. Although he had been ruthlessly slapped by Lei Longyin, he knew that Lei Longyin was helping him. With Lei Longyin's strength and the foundation of the mighty Thunder Trading Company, he believed that no matter how bold this Zhuan was, he wouldn't risk offending both the mighty Thunder Trading Company and Lei Longyin to kill him. To Lei Lingyun, exchanging a slap for a life could be said to be a very good deal. "Senior, my son was indeed a little rash before, but he has already apologized, and you have also taught him a lesson before. I think this matter should be settled like this." Lei Ming, who had been silent, now stood out and began to smooth things over. With Lei Longyin, this kind of half-step heaven-breaking realm powerhouse, supporting him from behind, Lei Ming's fear toward Zhuo had long since vanished into thin air. At this moment, he had regained the dignity of a trading company's president, and facing Zhuo, his tone was normal, and he spoke frankly with assurance. But just as Lei Ming was about to speak incessantly and analyze the pros and cons of Zhuo barging into the mighty Thunder Trading Company, a palm landed on his cheek without warning, and a loud slap sounded on the spot. Put on. Lei Ming was knocked to the ground, his whole body crawling, blood flowing from his mouth and nose, and many of his teeth had been knocked out. His whole body twitched, and he was already more out of breath than out. The one who had attacked was naturally Zhuo, and Zhuo's attack was merciless, almost beating Lei Ming to the brink of death. The surroundings were silent, and no one saw the trajectory of Zhuo's attack, and Lei Ming was lying on the ground like a dead dog. They all gasped, and they all realized how strong this seemingly harmless young man in front of them was. Meanwhile, Lei Lingyun, who had been relieved, was frightened again when he saw his father beaten to such a state. His legs trembled violently, and he felt like he was in a mess. His ancestor had come out, and the mighty Thunder Trading Company's half-step heaven-breaking tier formation had been activated, but this guy in front of him was still so unrestrained. Lei Longyin's pupils constricted. Just now, when Zhuan attacked, he caught a trace of the trajectory, but it was very vague. By the time he reacted, Lei Ming had already been beaten to a pulp. Lei Longyin's eyes revealed a hint of dread. He began to suspect that this young man was not just at the early stage of the first blight. It was very likely that he was at the mid or late stage of the first blight. Thinking of this possibility, Lei Longyin's face turned even uglier. He cursed Lei Lingyun in his heart. What kind of person did he offend? Of course, even if Zhuan was really in the middle or late stage of the first blight, although Lei Longyin would be wary, he wouldn't be afraid. Although he was only at the early stage of the first blight, the Violent Thunder Trading Company still had a half-step heaven break formation. In addition, he also had powerful trump cards. If he used those trump cards, he could seriously injure a late-stage first blight cultivator. However, the price of using this trump card was a bit too high. Unless it was absolutely necessary, Lei Longyin didn't want to use it. Fellow Daoist, if you have any requests, just let me know. There's no need to attack a junior, it's ungentlemanly. Lei Longyin's eyes narrowed. He waved his sleeve and captured the half-dead Lei Ming. He took out a divine pill and fed it to Lei Ming, then handed him over to the people behind him to take care of. Zhuan didn't stop him. He didn't come to the Violent Thunder Trading Company to make trouble, but to get some benefits. At the same time, he didn't plan to keep Lei Lingyun alive. Zhuan said indifferently, "My request is very simple. One is to let Lu Chengfeng out." Lei Longyin nodded and said, "This is easy." With that, Lei Longyin waved his hand and the people behind him went down. After a while, they brought Lu Chengfeng out. At this moment, Lu Chengfeng was quite embarrassed. His body was covered in wounds and his aura was weak. He was tied up by a golden rope and couldn't move at all. "Grandfather, are you okay?" Liu, who was standing beside Zhuowen, saw Lu Chengfeng's miserable state and cried out in heartache. She looked like a weeping beauty. "You guys are quite fast." Zhuowen's eyes were cold. Lei Lingyun had escaped not long ago, but Lu Chengfeng had already been captured and tortured to this extent. It was obvious that the Violent Thunder Trading Company didn't have good intentions from the beginning. "I've brought Lu Chengfeng to you. I can let him go, but you have to be sensible and retreat. In the future, we won't interfere with each other's business." Lei Longyin said. "You beat him up like this and let him go as if nothing happened?" Zhuowen sneered. "Then what do you want?" Lei Longyin frowned. "I have more than one request. First, let Lu Chengfeng go. Second, let Lei Lingyun commit suicide in front of Li as an apology. Third, your Thunderbolt Trading Company needs to compensate me for my mental trauma. I'll give you a discount, 10 supreme-grade Heavenly Law Origin crystal veins." Zhuowen said indifferently. As soon as he said this, there was a gasp from behind Lei Longyin. Lei Longyin's face darkened and he said angrily, "Why don't you just rob? 10 supreme-grade Heavenly Law Origin crystal veins?" Supreme-grade Heavenly Law Origin crystal veins were extremely precious. Even their Violent Thunder Trading Company didn't have many. This one actually opened his mouth and asked for 10 supreme-grade Heavenly Law Origin crystal veins. This request was too much. Also, this boy actually asked Lei Lingyun to commit suicide in front of Li Er. Lei Longyin couldn't agree to this request. Lei Lingyun was his direct descendant after all. His blood flowed in his body. How could he watch Lei Lingyun commit suicide in front of him? "You mean you don't agree?" Zhuowen said with a cold smile. "Humph. Your request is too much." Us. Speaking up to here, Lei Longyin suddenly took out a golden talisman. It immediately wrapped their group inside and disappeared from the steps. This Violent Thunder Trading Company is really rich and overbearing. It's actually another cicada shedding talisman. Zhuan wasn't surprised that Lei Longyin and the rest left. Or rather, he deliberately let Lei Longyin leave. He needed a reason to deal with the Violent Thunder Trading Company. And this reason to him was that the Violent Thunder Trading Company took the initiative to attack first. As long as the Violent Thunder Trading Company attacked first, then he was on the side of reason. Even if the Demon Saint Palace came, he wouldn't be in the wrong. Fellow Daoist, we originally had the possibility of resolving this peacefully. Unfortunately, it was you who went too far. Since that's the case, then I won't be polite. At this moment, Lei Longyin's cold voice came from the headquarters of the Violent Thunder Trading Company at the top of the mountain. However, Lei Longyin's voice was quickly drowned out by the terrifying sound of thunder. Countless bolts of lightning condensed in the sky above the mountain. These bolts of lightning were dark red, like some kind of lightning punishment energy. They carried a strange and terrifying energy. The mountain range where the Violent Thunder Trading Company was located was called the Thunder Punishment Mountain Range. The geography of this mountain range was enveloped in terrifying lightning punishment energy all year round. The location where the Violent Thunder Trading Company was located just happened to avoid all the lightning energy. It was the core of the Thunder Punishment Mountain Range and also the safest place. It was precisely because of the location of the Violent Thunder Trading Company that it was known as the most difficult company to attack among the 4 great companies. This was because thunder fell here all year round, and the Violent Thunder Trading Company had a method to attract thunder. They collected the power of thunder from the Thunder Punishment Mountain Range all year round and condensed it in a certain valley in the mountain range. After years of accumulation, the thunder in the valley was extremely terrifying. It was said that even if a peak first blight cultivator accidentally stepped in, they could be seriously injured or even die. Chapter 35-36. Detonation. Lei Longyin was relying on the lightning energy that had been accumulated in Thunder Punishment Valley for countless years. Once it was released, he knew that Zhuan would die without a doubt. However, the base that the Thunderbolt Trading Company had built over countless years might turn into ruins. Only the core palace, which was in the safest position, might survive. After this battle, the Thunderbolt Trading Company might lose their most powerful natural barrier. This would be a huge blow to the Thunderbolt Trading Company. However, Lei Longyin knew that he had no other choice. He already knew that Zhuowen's strength should be above his. If he fought with Zhuowen face to face, the chances of him losing were too high. He didn't dare to joke with his life. Boom, boom, boom. Countless lightning bolts suddenly shot out from the depths of the mountain range. It was like a flood that had burst out from a collapsed dam. It was extremely fierce and terrifying. The white jade steps under Zhuowen's feet completely collapsed. Countless lightning bolts came from all directions like an endless torrent, instantly submerging Zhuowen and Li. Zhuowen's expression changed slightly. Without thinking, he put Li into the outside world. A purple light surged around his body, protecting him from head to toe. Is this what Lei Longyin is relying on? Zhuowen frowned in the midst of the countless lightning energies. He was especially shocked when he saw that the entire Thunder Punishment Mountain Range was shrouded in this terrifying lightning. The commotion in the Thunder Punishment Mountain Range was too great. Countless lightning bolts flickered, like a dazzling new star, attracting countless gazes. That's the lightning energy of Thunder Punishment Valley. That Lei Longyin actually triggered Thunder Punishment Valley. The sky. In the starry sky billions of miles away from Thunder Punishment Mountain Range, the Divine Horn Protector, who was originally hurrying along, noticed the terrifying lightning bolts in the distance and involuntarily stopped. His eyes were filled with shock. The azure-armored man, who was held in his hand, was also shocked. Thunder Punishment Valley was too famous in the Fiend domain. It was the strongest trump card of the Thunderbolt Trading Company. Even the Fiend Saint Palace was wary of this natural danger zone. But now, Thunder Punishment Valley had actually exploded. Clearly, the Thunderbolt Trading Company was dealing with a powerful enemy. Otherwise, they wouldn't have used such a costly trump card. Lord Protector, I'm afraid that Thunderbolt Trading Company detonated the Thunder Punishment Valley to deal with that lord. This Thunder Punishment Valley is so terrifying. I think that no matter how strong that lord is, it would be hard for him to survive. The green-armored man said carefully. The godly Horn Guardian did not say a word, his eyes gloomy. He had come all the way here with the man in green armor to win over Zhuowen. However, if he only saw a corpse, then wouldn't he have come here for nothing? He was somewhat unwilling. Let's go to Thunderbolt Trading Firm and take a look. If he's alive, I want to see him. If he's dead, I want to see his corpse. The godly Horn Guardian snorted coldly and continued forward. Meanwhile, on the other side of the Thunderbolt Trading Firm, another group of people was also looking at the spectacular sight of the Thunder Punishment Mountain Range in shock. The Thunder Punishment Valley was actually detonated. Has Lei Longyin gone mad? The leader of this group was the ancestor of the Spirit Phoenix Trading Company, Bailey Jinglun. He looked at the Thunder Punishment Mountain range and couldn't help but cry out. He was too shocked. Bailey Chioling and the others who were standing in the group were also shocked. They knew everything about the Thunder Punishment Valley. They knew how terrifying the Thunder Punishment Valley was. Ancestor, it seems that we came here for nothing. I'm afraid that person won't be able to survive. Bailey Chioling shook her head and smiled bitterly. Chioling, the rogue cultivator you're talking about is at least at the mid-stage or late stage of the first blight. Otherwise, that old fellow Lei Longyin wouldn't have used the Thunder Punishment Valley. Bailey Jingluan shook his head and sighed. It's a pity that this person died young. He was too impulsive. He rushed forward without knowing anything about the Thunderbolt Trading Company. Now it's a tragedy. Ancestor, do we still need to go? Bailey Chioling frowned slightly. Let's go take a look. However, there's no need for so many people. You can all go back. Only Chioling and I will go take a look. After Bailey Jingluan sent the others away, he continued to lead Bailey Chioling to the Thunderbolt Trading Company. At this moment, the Thunderbolt Trading Company was too terrifying. It had become a lightning hell. Zhuan had already put away his human body and summoned his doppelganger to resist the lightning. The Pangu's sacred body was too powerful. Although the lightning was terrifying, it wasn't enough to cause too much damage to the mid-stage Pangu's sacred body. Moreover, the Pangu's sacred body could continuously absorb the surging energy from the lightning while it was being struck by lightning, using this to continuously strengthen the Pangu's sacred body. The lightning from the Thunder Punishment Valley raged in the mountains for 10 days and 10 nights. The huge Thunder Punishment Mountains were forcibly blasted into nothingness. Apart from the small mountain at the core, the surrounding mountains had long disappeared and were now terrifying craters. The Divine Horn Enforcer and Bailey Jingluan had also arrived at the outskirts of the Thunder Punishment Mountains. The two had already greeted each other and tacitly observed the outskirts of the Thunder Punishment Mountains, waiting for the lightning to disappear. Bailey Jingluan glanced at the Divine Horn Enforcer not far away. He felt a little bitter. He didn't expect the Demon Saint Palace to directly send the Divine Horn Enforcer. Wasn't this too important? If Zhuan was really still alive, he knew that he wouldn't be able to compete with the Divine Horn Enforcer. However, what made him rejoice was that Zhuan clearly did not have much chance of surviving under such terrifying thunderbolts. In the Thunder Punishment Mountains, on the only remaining small mountain, Lei Longyin had his hands behind his back. He looked down at the lightning that was gradually disappearing around him and breathed a sigh of relief. He knew that everything was over. That damn Zhuan. He actually forced me to detonate the Thunder Punishment Valley. It's fine if he's dead, but he destroyed the countless years of foundation of the thunderous trading firm. Lei Longyin cursed bitterly. But soon, Lei Longyin felt that something was wrong. A sharp gust of wind shot up from below and arrived in front of him in an instant. Lei Longyin was caught off guard and his chest was heavily hit. He spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying. Bang! Lei Longyin landed on the ground. Just as he was about to stand up, a foot suddenly appeared and mercilessly landed on his chest, stomping him back to the ground. It's you? How is this possible? Lei Longyin forced his eyes open and immediately saw Zhuowen's face. His eyes widened as he cried out in disbelief. In the palace on the small mountain, Lei Ming and Lei Lingyun led everyone out and saw the scene of Lei Longyin being stomped by Zhuan. They were all petrified. Father, what's going on? Why isn't he dead? Even the Thunder Punishment Valley didn't kill him. Lei Lingyun sat down on the ground, scared witless as he spoke incoherently. Chapter 35-37. Suicide. Even the lightning punishment energy in Thunder Punishment Valley couldn't kill him. Who is he? Lei Ming stood there in a daze as a strong sense of regret appeared in his heart. He regretted provoking the youth in front of him because of Lei Lingyun's matter. He had been proud and thought that the violent Thunder Trading Company was invincible. But now, he had paid a heavy price for his arrogance. Most of the violent Thunder Trading Company's territory had been destroyed and the pillar of the company, Lei Longyin, had been stepped on. What right did the violent Thunder Trading Company have to be arrogant now? Oh shit! What is this guy's body made of? The entire Thunder Punishment Valley's lightning punishment energy is enough to kill a peak first blight cultivator, but this guy looks completely fine. Outside the ruins of the Thunder Punishment Mountain Range, Bailey Chioling naturally recognized the youth who had appeared on the small mountain range and cursed for the first time. Bailey Jingluan bitterly smiled. He knew that he had underestimated Zhuowen. This guy was definitely a powerhouse beyond the first blight. Even the lightning punishment energy in Thunder Punishment Valley couldn't do anything to him. His strength was too terrifying. Aside from the Demon Saint Palace, what other force in Demon Divine City could stop this person? Thinking about how he had planned to recruit this person, Bailey Jingluan couldn't help but bitterly smile. Wasn't he overestimating himself? He was only at the early stage of the first blight, and this person's cultivation was at least a major realm higher than his. Unless he was crazy, he had actually planned to recruit such a powerhouse. Not far away, the God Horn Protector also saw this scene. His eyes were burning as he stared at Zhuan. He originally thought that Zhuan was just an ordinary first blight cultivator and that him personally coming to recruit him was already giving him enough respect, so he didn't come with much sincerity. But now, his eyes were bright and he felt like he had picked up a treasure. He was the third strongest person in the Demon Saint Palace and a peak third blight cultivator. His knowledge was a level higher than Bailey Jingluan and Lei Longyin. Although Zhuowen's aura was perfectly hidden and he couldn't detect his specific cultivation level, he knew how terrifying Thunder Punishment Valley was. The energy that erupted from the Thunder Punishment Valley was enough to kill any life form under the second blight. Even if a second blight cultivator could resist the energy, they would still be injured. As for Zhuowen, he wasn't injured at all. Only a third blight cultivator could do this. Without a doubt, the God Horn Protector knew that Zhuowen was definitely a third blight cultivator. This kind of cultivator was what the Demon Saint Palace lacked. Moreover, what was even rarer was that this person was a genuine rogue cultivator. His value was truly immeasurable. The Divine Horn Guardian made up his mind. No matter what price he had to pay, he had to rope this person into the Demon Saint Palace. Even if this person wanted the green-armored man's life, he would agree without hesitation. The green-armored man who had lost both of his arms, standing on the God Horn Protector's side, was extremely pale. He had already seen through the thoughts of the godly Horn Guardian. He knew that he was insignificant now. It was very likely that he would die here, but he didn't dare to escape. If he escaped, he would only die faster and it would be a very painful death. At this moment, on the small remaining core mountain range of the Thunder Punishment Mountain Range, Lei Longyin was being firmly stepped on by Zhuowen. Lei Longyin quickly said, "Fellow Zhuo, let's talk nicely. What happened just now was just a misunderstanding. My thunder trading firm is willing to compensate you for everything." Lei Longyin hurriedly said. Because his cheeks were being stepped on by Zhuowen, his voice was a bit distorted, but he didn't care. He revealed a forced smile and begged for mercy from Zhuowen. "Misunderstanding? I only came to your thunder trading company to ask for an explanation. As long as your thunder trading company gave a fair explanation, I would have let it go. But you obstructed me again and even wanted to send me away like I was a beggar. In the end, you even used the Thunder Punishment Valley's Thunder Punishment Valley to kill me. Was all of this a misunderstanding? Today, I was not strong enough and died in the Thunder Punishment Valley. Presumably, it wasn't a misunderstanding as you said. I deserved it." Zhuowen sneered. He had come to the Thunder Trading Company to ask for an explanation. He hadn't even made a move. But the Thunder Trading Company was different. From the beginning, they had pretended to be weak in front of him and then directly wanted to kill him with real bullets. This was no longer a misunderstanding, but a great hatred of life and death. "Fellow Zhuo, please calm down. I will agree to all of your requests just now." Lei Longyin's forehead was covered in cold sweat. He quickly called Lei Lingyun over. "Lingyun, get over here and kneel in front of this senior. Kill yourself and apologize." Lei Lingyun was scared out of his wits. He didn't expect Lei Longyin to give in so quickly. Moreover, he was directly ordered to kill himself in front of this person. This was too humiliating. "Not in front of me, but in front of Li."
Jun said faintly. He waved his hand and summoned Li from the macro world again. After Li appeared, her beautiful eyes were filled with bewilderment. But very quickly, Zhuowen sent her a voice transmission and explained the general situation. This caused Li to stare at Zhuowen in a daze. She didn't expect that the person in front of her was so fierce that even the Thunder Punishment Valley's Thunder Punishment Valley couldn't do anything to him. Now, the Thunder Trading Company's patriarch, Lei Longyin, was under his feet. Just how ferocious was this? Seeing that his life was in danger, Lei Lingyun roared angrily and ran away. However, he didn't run for long before he was caught by a big hand. Pluck. Zhuan threw Lei Lingyun in front of Li and said faintly, "Now, you only have two choices. 1. Listen to me and kill yourself in front of Li. I can let you reincarnate. 2. I'll send you on your way, but you can forget about reincarnating." Lei Lingyun trembled. He sighed softly and knelt in front of Li. After apologizing solemnly, he killed himself. Li's beautiful eyes were complicated as she looked at Lei Lingyun, who had fallen in front of her. "Lei Ming, what are you waiting for? Release Lu Qingfeng right now. Also, take out the transfer tokens of the remaining 10 supreme-grade Heavenly Law Origin crystal veins and give them to Brother Zhua." After Lei Lingyun died, Lei Longyin didn't show any grief. Instead, he shouted for Lei Ming to let him go. Lei Ming's eyes were filled with sorrow. He sighed and let Lu Qingfeng go. Then, he gave Zhuowen a medallion. Lu Qingfeng hurried to Li's side and comforted her. Then, he looked at Zhuan gratefully and said, "My lord, this old man will never forget your kindness for saving my life." Zhuan waved his hand, indicating that Lu Qingfeng didn't need to be so polite. He also took the token that Lei Ming gave him without hesitation. "Brother Zhua, I've already fulfilled your request. Shouldn't you let me go?" Lei Longyin said with a smile. "I have no enmity with your Thunderbolt trading firm. Naturally, I don't intend to fight to the death with your Thunderbolt trading firm. I promise you that I will only destroy you now. As for the Thunderbolt trading firm, I won't touch it." Zhuowen's eyes were cold. His right hand formed a sword finger and pointed at Lei Longyin's forehead. A terrifying shattered divine power emerged. "Ah!" Lei Longyin screamed in pain. He could clearly feel the shattered divine power surging in the depths of his divine soul, wantonly destroying the world of his divine soul. Zhuan looked coldly at Lei Longyin, who had completely lost his vitality. He didn't intend to kill Lei Longyin, but Lei Longyin was too insatiable. In the end, he even tried to kill him. Chapter 35-38. Guest Protector Lei Ming stood to the side, silently watching Lei Longyin die, indifferent. He had nothing left to live for. Lei Lingyun was his most beloved son, but he could only watch him die in front of him. Now, his mind was completely blank and he was completely sluggish. Even if Zhuowen killed him, he probably wouldn't feel much about it right now. As for the rest of the people from the thunder-raising trading firm, they were trembling. Their faces were filled with fear, afraid that Zhuan would also kill them. "Don't worry, I'm not against people and not matters. The reason why things ended up like this was mainly because Lei Longyin provoked me. Now that Lei Longyin is dead, all grudges are over. If any one of you is still unconvinced, you can come and find me." After Zhuan finished speaking, he planned to leave with Lu Qingfeng and Liu. However, a figure stopped him. Zhuowen's eyes were calm as he looked at the old man in a long robe in front of him. He had already noticed this robed old man when he had escaped from the lightning tribulation. He glanced at the man in green armor beside the old man and knew that this old man was from the Demon Saint Palace. What surprised Zhuowen even more was that this old man's cultivation was extremely good. He was actually at the peak of the third blight. Even in the Demon Saint Palace, this kind of cultivation was a high position. He didn't expect that the Demon Saint Palace would actually send such a big shot. This was a bit too much for him. In addition, he also noticed another team in another part of the Thunder Punishment Mountain range. That team also consisted of two people, an old man and a woman. The woman was also an acquaintance to Zhuan.
She was actually Bailey Chioling of the Spirit Phoenix trading firm that he had met before. This old man's cultivation was also not bad. He was at the early stage of the first blight. He was probably the old ancestor of the Spirit Phoenix trading firm, in existence on the same level as Lei Longyin. Fellow cultivator, I don't know what you are. Zhuan pretended to be confused and looked at the godly horn protector in front of him. The celestial horn guardian smiled and said, Fellow cultivator, I am one of the 5 great guardians of the demonic Saint Palace, celestial horn guardian. I heard that this bastard attacked you indiscriminately in the demonic Saint Heavenly City and offended you. This is our demon Saint Palace's fault. We didn't manage our subordinates well. Today, I brought this vile creature here to apologize to fellow Taoist. You can kill or torture this person as you wish. The green-armored man was so frightened that his legs turned to jelly and he knelt down. Didn't they say that the divine horn guardian would help him? Why was it that the moment he opened his mouth, he wanted to kill him? The man in green armor did not dare to speak. He already knew that the god horn guardian was going to sacrifice him in order to win over Zhuan. However, even if he knew that the god horn guardian was going to do this, he did not dare to refute. After all, the god horn guardian was one of the 5 great guardians of the demonic Saint Palace. His strength and status far exceeded his own. It was too easy for him to kill him, and the demonic Saint Palace would not uphold justice for him. Now, the only thing he could do and still be happy was to listen to the god horn guardian's arrangements. Even if the god horn guardian asked him to die, he had to obey. Otherwise, he would only suffer a fate worse than death. Zhuan looked at the green-armored man indifferently and said, This is a misunderstanding. I don't care about it anymore. Fellow cultivator, if there is nothing else, please make way. I plan to leave this place. Fellow cultivator, you are really magnanimous. However, as the saying goes, a country has its own laws and a family has its own rules. This vile creature violated the rules of the demonic Saint Heavenly City and misunderstood you. We can't let him go so easily. The god horn guardian was still smiling. His right hand landed on the green-armored man's shoulder and exerted force. The green-armored man's shoulder directly burst open. The green-armored man screamed. His face was pale and cold sweat kept pouring out of his forehead. It was too painful. Zhuan looked at the god horn guardian indifferently. He knew that the god horn guardian was trying to be friendly with him. I am Zhuan. The god horn guardian is fair and just. Today, I will accept your kindness. After saying that, Zhuan bypassed the god horn guardian and left the mountain range. The god horn guardian was stunned on the spot. His face suddenly became ugly. What was wrong with Zhuan? Did he not know what the god horn guardian was trying to do? Stop. The god horn guardian suddenly shouted. Zhuan stopped and turned around. He looked at the god horn guardian indifferently and said, God horn guardian, do you have any other business? Of course, he knew the god horn guardian's purpose. It was to rope him into the demonic Saint Palace. However, it was impossible for Zhuan to join the demonic Saint Palace. He only came here to see the true face of the demonic saint. Fellow cultivator Zhua. In fact, I have a presumptuous request. I hope you can join the demonic Saint Palace. The demonic Saint Palace is the most powerful force in the demonic Saint Palace. It was established by the demonic Saint Donghuangte. With your strength, if you join the demonic Saint Palace, you will immediately become an existence equal to the 5 great guardians. The god horn guardian finally opened his mouth and said the real purpose of his visit. I am sorry, god horn guardian, you may be disappointed. I am used to being unrestrained. I am not willing to join any force. I think I am fine now, Zhuan said calmly. The god horn guardian frowned and his face suddenly became a little ugly. However, he quickly recovered and said, Since fellow cultivator Zhua likes to be unrestrained, I will not force you. How about this? Fellow cultivator Zhua, you can be the guest guardian of the demonic Saint Palace. It is just a title. The demonic Saint Palace will not restrict your actions. Moreover, if you want to leave the demonic Saint Palace in the future, that is your freedom. However, when you are still a guest guardian, the demonic Saint Palace will still need your help with some matters. You will still need to fight for the demonic Saint Palace. Other than that, you are free to do anything. Hearing this, Zhuowen's eyes lit up. The God Horn Guardian's proposal was quite attractive to him. He had come to the demon domain to meet the Holy Maiden of the demon domain, and the Holy Maiden of the demon domain was in the demon Saint Palace. If he were to become a guest elder of the demon Saint Palace, wouldn't meeting the Holy Maiden of the demon domain become much easier? Thinking of this, Yun looked at the God Horn Guardian and said, God Horn Guardian, this is what you said. If I become a guest guardian of the demonic Saint Palace, if I want to leave the demonic Saint Palace in the future, you will not stop me, right? Seeing that Jun was interested, the God Horn Guardian quickly patted his chest and promised. But then I will become a guest guardian of the demonic Saint Palace. Zhuowen nodded. Brother Zhuo, in the future, you will know how wise your choice is today. Chapter 35-39. Demon Saint Realm. Zhuowen only smiled, not paying too much attention to the Divine Horn Protector's words. If it weren't for Mu Chenxue, Yun wouldn't even have planned to come to the demon realm. Moreover, as long as he knew that the Holy Maiden of the demon realm could really be Mu Chenxue, he would take her away without hesitation and leave the demon Saint Palace. My other friend, there's no need to hide anymore. Come out. Zhuowen suddenly transmitted his voice to the other side of the Thunder Punishment Mountain range. Bailey Jingluan and Bailey Chioling, who had been hiding there, had no choice but to come out when they saw that their whereabouts had been exposed. I am Bailey Jingluan of the Spirit Phoenix trading firm. This is my junior, Bailey Chioling. This old one really didn't expect fellow Taoist Zhuo to be so powerful. Lei Longyin of the Thunder Punishment Mountain range was no match for fellow Taoist Zhuo at all. This old one is impressed. Bailey Jingluan cupped his hands and bowed as soon as he came up. His attitude could be said to be cautious. After seeing Zhuowen's methods, he had long been convinced. He knew that if this person could easily kill Lei Longyin, he could easily kill him as well. He had no choice but to treat such a person with caution. Bailey Chioling's beautiful eyes were filled with a complicated look. Although she had long known that Jun was extraordinary, she didn't expect him to be so awesome. He single-handedly took down the Thunder Punishment firm, which was no weaker than the Spirit Phoenix trading firm. Even the second protector of the Demon Saint Palace, Divine Horn Protector, had personally come to invite Jun. This person was far more powerful and extraordinary than she had imagined. At the same time, Bailey Chioling was also very glad that she hadn't been as stupid as Lei Lingyun to offend such a terrifying powerhouse. Fellow Taoist Bailey, from now on, Brother Zhuo will be a protector of our Demon Saint Palace. Don't be mistaken in the future. Also, I don't want the Thunder Punishment firm incident to happen again. I hope fellow Taoist Bailey will inform the other two trading firms. Divine Horn Protector was beaming with joy. He was clearly very satisfied with this result. The smile on his face was very bright. Bailey Jingluan hurriedly cupped his fists and promised that this matter would never happen again in the Spirit Phoenix trading firm, and he would also tell the other two trading firms about it. The Celestial Horn Enforcer's strength and status were far above his own, so Bailey Jingluan really did not dare to neglect the former's instructions. In a few days, the Demon Region auction that happens once every 5 years should be held by your Spirit Phoenix Trading Company, right? It is said that there are many good things. Brother Zhuo, if you are interested, you can go to the auction and have a look. The Divine Horn Protector laughed and said. Zhuowen's eyes lit up. What he needed the most right now was to find something that could weaken the Blight Tribulation. Perhaps he could find such an item in this auction. Fellow Taoist Bailey, are there any items that can weaken the Blight in your auction this time? Zhuowen looked at Bailey Jingluan with shining eyes. Bailey Jingluan was taken aback, but he quickly said, anything that can weaken a Blight Tribulation is a rare treasure. If it was an auction in the past, this kind of thing would be very rare. But fellow Taoist Zhuo's luck is pretty good this time. Our auction this time really has such an item. However, you also know that this kind of thing is the most coveted by half-step heaven-breaking realm powerhouses. This auction will definitely be a fierce battle. The Divine Horn Enforcer's eyes lit up when he learned that this auction really had an item that could weaken a blight tribulation. He hurriedly said, "Fellow Taoist Bailey, why didn't you say so earlier? There's actually such a good item in the auction this time." "What is it?" Bailey Jingluan said helplessly, "There are still a few days to the auction. I was planning to use these few days to publicize it. Now that fellow Taoist Zhua asked, I won't keep you in suspense. That item cannot be revealed in detail at the moment. This is the request of the person who put it up for auction. Only after the auction starts and that item appears will we finally announce it. Fellow Taoist Zhua, Divine Horn Enforcer, please forgive me. No matter. I know your Spirit Phoenix Trading Company's rules. Now that you mention it, I am very interested in this auction of yours. When the time comes, I will definitely attend." The Divine Horn Enforcer said with a smile. "Then I will await your arrival." Bailey Jingluan cupped his hands and said. Both sides chatted for a while more before they both bid farewell and left, leaving behind the already devastated Violent Thunder Trading Company. Thundercry stared blankly at the surrounding ruins. Finally, he shook his head and said with a sigh, "From today onwards, Violent Thunder Trading Company will be sealed off for 10,000 years. In these 10,000 years, Violent Thunder Trading Company will absolutely not appear in the world." "Brother Divine Horn, I heard that the Demon Region newly conferred a Holy Maiden before, and she's extremely impressive. I'm very curious about that Holy Maiden. Can you tell me about that Holy Maiden?" On the way, Thoen mentioned the Demon Region's Holy Maiden matter intentionally or unintentionally. The Divine Horn Enforcer did not doubt him and introduced with a smile, "Speaking of that Holy Maiden's origins, actually, I'm not sure either. The entire Demon Saint Palace probably isn't too clear either. Several years ago, Lord Demon Saint suddenly brought back a young woman, and then the next day, he conferred that woman as the Demon Region's Holy Maiden. At that time, it was extremely sudden. Many of the demon race's upper echelons voiced their objections, but they were all suppressed by Lord Demon Saint. Later, this Holy Maiden was also very powerful. Her cultivation speed was extremely fast, far surpassing all the young geniuses of the Demon Region. Not only did she easily advance to the half-step heaven-breaking realm, but she's also now a powerhouse of the Second Blight. When the Divine Horn Enforcer spoke of the Holy Maiden's cultivation speed, his eyes revealed a look of disbelief. He felt that the Holy Maiden's cultivation speed was extraordinarily fast. However, in the later conversation, the Divine Horn Enforcer inadvertently revealed that the Demon Region's Holy Maiden's bloodline was extremely special. It was said that it was of the fire attribute. When she advanced, there was a phoenix soaring into the sky, and the scene was resplendent. Zhuan's eyes were bright. He was 80% sure that the Demon Region's Holy Maiden was the one who obtained the Fire Phoenix's inheritance, and it was very likely that she was Mu Chenxue. Thinking of this, Zhuan's heart thumped wildly, and he felt an irrepressible excitement. At the same time, he secretly decided that if the Holy Maiden was really Mu Chenxue, he would take Mu Chenxue away at all costs. For this, he would not hesitate to offend Demon Saint Palace. Divine Horn Enforcer, when I was in the Demon Region, I often heard of the Holy Maiden's various charms and rumors. I'm very interested in the Holy Maiden of the Demon Region. This time, I plan to enter Demon Saint Palace to meet the Holy Maiden of the Demon Region." Zhuan said calmly. "Brother Zhua, you are now a guest protector of the Demon Saint Palace. Not to mention the Saintess, even if it is the Demon Saint, if you want to see him, it will only take a single sentence. However, the Holy Maiden went out to work for the Demon Saint a few days ago. She went to the untainted heavenly realm, and I'm afraid it will be a while before she comes back. I'm afraid you won't be able to see her at this time." The Divine Horn Enforcer laughed. "That's all right. Anyway, I'm not in a hurry. I just heard some rumors about the Holy Maiden, and I'm a little curious about her," Zhuan said lightly. Soon, the two of them arrived at the Demon Saint Palace as they chatted. It had to be said that Demon Saint Palace was indeed magnificent and majestic, far surpassing Wizard God City in the untainted heavenly realm. It was similar to the Three Purities Palace in the Heaven Accessing Place. "Brother Zhua,
I've already informed the Demon Saint about your matter. But the Demon Saint has been in closed-door training, so it's inconvenient for him to meet you, so he sent the Great Protector to meet you. When they arrived at the gate of Demon Saint Palace, the Divine Horn Enforcer said to Zhuowen apologetically, "It doesn't matter, but I'm curious, what realm is the Demon Saint in now?" Chapter 3540. Great Guardian. Speaking of which, he had some history with Dong Huangtai. When he entered the place where Dong Huangtai was sealed, he was tricked by the green-haired mummy. In the end, Dong Huangtai escaped. He learned from the green-furred corpse that Dong Huangtai was an ancient figure who had once fought against the three Pure Ones. His strength was unfathomable. He was curious about Dong Huangtai's cultivation. Had he reached the fifth blight? The Divine Horn Guardian said mysteriously, before he went into seclusion, Lord Demon Saint was already at the peak of the fourth blight. This time, he is trying to break through to the fifth blight. Once Lord Demon Saint successfully breaks through to the fifth blight, the Xianmi Heavenly Region and the Primitive Heavenly Region will no longer look down on us. Hearing this, Zhuowen nodded. His heart was full of fear. Dong Huangtai was indeed amazing. After being sealed for so long, his cultivation was still so strong. He was indeed a great figure from the ancient era. Greetings, Divine Horn Guardian. At the entrance of the Demon Saint Palace, two guards saw the Divine Horn Guardian and Zhu. They quickly knelt on the ground and saluted respectfully. The Divine Horn Guardian led Zhuowen into the Demon Saint Palace. Everywhere they passed, many disciples of the Demon Saint Palace saluted and greeted them. Soon, the Divine Horn Guardian led him to a magnificent hall. It was the Demon Saint Palace. At this moment, at the entrance of the Demon Saint Palace, a red-faced old man in a red robe was standing. The red-faced old man exuded a blazing aura, as if he was a fire source. He exuded an indescribable and terrifying heat. Great Guardian! The Divine Horn Guardian walked forward and saluted the red-faced old man respectfully. The red-faced old man nodded, and then his gaze descended onto Zhuowen as he said indifferently, "This person is the new guest protector you spoke of?" The Divine Horn Guardian nodded and told him everything that had happened at the Violent Thunder firm. At the same time, he kept emphasizing how powerful Zhuowen was. Anyway, he said a lot of good things about Zhuowen. Zhuowen silently sized up the Great Protector, but he was rather surprised. This head protector's aura was extremely powerful, even surpassing the God Horn Protector. This person was an early-stage fourth blight cultivator. His strength was unfathomable. He didn't expect Beast Saint Palace to have another fourth blight expert other than Dong Huangtai. This Beast Saint Palace was indeed extraordinary. I already know. Protector Zhua, it's your fortune to be able to become a guest protector of my Demon Saint Palace. But this time, you made a mistake. The Thunderbolt Trading Company is one of the 4 great trading companies in the Demon region. It controls 20% of the trade in the Demon region and is of vital importance to the Demon region. Yet you relied on your own strength to destroy the Thunderbolt Trading Company. That's too overbearing. If it wasn't for the fact that this is your first offense, this old man would have already taken you down and thrown you into the law enforcement hall for trial. The Great Guardian spoke and criticized Zhuowen mercilessly with harsh words. The Divine Horn Guardian was stunned. He did not expect that the Great Guardian would not say any words of welcome. Instead, he poured cold water on him. What was going on? Zhuowen also found it strange. Wasn't the Great Guardian here to welcome him? Wasn't his opening a bit too sharp? Divine Horn, take Protector Zhuo away. I have already arranged a place for him to stay. It's in the D area of the Demon Saint Palace. After the Great Guardian finished speaking, he entered the Demon Saint Palace without looking back. When the Divine Horn Guardian heard about the D area, his expression suddenly changed. He opened his mouth and wanted to say something, but in the end he did not say anything. He only looked at Zhuowen apologetically. Zhuowen was not a hothead. From the Divine Horn Guardian's expression, he could tell that the D area was probably a relatively bad location in the Demon Saint Palace. Protector Zhua, I'm really sorry. I don't know what's wrong with the Great Guardian today. His attitude is a bit sharp. Maybe he's in a bad mood today, so his words are a bit strange. The Divine Horn Guardian said apologetically. It's fine. Zhuowen responded. He really didn't care about the head protector's attitude. He did not plan to stay in the Demon Saint Palace for long. He really did not care about the Great Guardian's attitude towards him. However, Yuan had a good impression of the Divine Horn Guardian's character. He was very humane. This is the D area? Zhuan looked at the rows of low pavilions in front of him and the thin heavenly energy around him. He could not help but frown. The Divine Horn Guardian smiled awkwardly and said, Protector Zhua, the D area is the worst area in the Demon Saint Palace. Generally, it is the area where the outer disciples and servants live. Generally speaking, we protectors live in the Super A area. However, the Great Guardian arranged it like this. I don't understand. At this point, the Divine Horn Guardian could not continue. He felt very embarrassed. He was the one who invited Zhuowen to the Demon Saint Palace. He did not expect that Zhuowen would receive such treatment. He was very embarrassed. It's okay. This place is not bad. At least it's much quieter than other places. I also have some peace. Zhuowen smiled. The Divine Horn Guardian looked at Zhuowen gratefully and promised Zhuowen that if he needed any help in the Demon Saint Palace, he could look for him. Zhuowen and the Divine Horn Guardian chatted for a while before the Divine Horn Guardian left. Zhuowen then went to find the cave that the Great Guardian had arranged for him. Looking at the low and shabby pavilions in front of him, Zhuowen shook his head. He did not particularly care. After he rearranged the pavilions, he went into seclusion to wait for the auction to begin. Since the Saintess of the Demon Saint Palace would not return for a while, he could only wait in the Demon Saint Palace. Other than that, he was waiting for the auction to begin. As long as he could obtain the item that Bailey Jingluan mentioned that could weaken the Earth's blight, he would be able to immediately use Shinrue's energy liquid to break through to the third blight. Time gradually passed. In the blink of an eye, 5 days had passed. During these 5 days, Yuan had basically been in seclusion in the cave. Occasionally, he would use his divine sense to observe the surroundings. Just as the Divine Horn Protector had said, Area D was indeed the worst area of the Demon Saint Palace. According to his divine sense, the demon race in this area were basically all juniors with low cultivation bases and poor aptitude. These juniors were the lowest existences in the Demon Saint Palace. Every day they had to do the most difficult and tiring work, but they received the worst resources. Coupled with their poor aptitude, their future was very bleak. And what Zhuowen saw most on the faces of these demon juniors was apathy. They had long been numbed by the life here. They were like walking corpses, doing the same things over and over again. On this day, Zhuowen's communication jade token lit up. It was a message from the Divine Horn Guardian. The God Horn Protector told Zhuowen that today was the day of the auction. However, he could not go to the auction with Zhuowen. The Great Protector strictly forbade Zhuowen from bidding at the auction. The God Horn Protector asked Zhuowen to be as careful as possible when he went to the auction and not give himself away. Chapter 3541. Before leaving the Demon Saint Palace, Zhuowen disguised himself. At the same time, he also sealed his cave abode in Area D with restrictions before leaving the Demon Saint Palace. Although the Spirit Phoenix Trading Company was also in the Demon Saint Heavenly City, it was in the opposite direction of the Demon Saint Palace. The Demon Saint Heavenly City occupied a large area, so it took Zhuowen several hours to arrive at the Spirit Phoenix Trading Company. As soon as he entered the Spirit Phoenix Trading Company, he saw from afar that there were many Demon Clan cultivators gathered in the Spirit Phoenix Trading Company. Zhuowen was startled. It seemed that he had underestimated the popularity of the auction this time. This Spirit Phoenix Trading Company probably gathered nearly half of the Demon Clan cultivators in the Demon Saint Heavenly City. Zhuowen paid a certain amount of Heavenly Dao origin crystals and entered the auction site. The auction this time was held in the largest pavilion of the Spirit Phoenix Trading Company. Originally, Zhuowen wanted to buy a VIP seat, but unfortunately,
The VIP seats in the auction site were basically all reserved, so he had no choice but to enter the main hall and squeeze in with the many demon clan cultivators. It was said that those who could reserve a VIP seat were either great forces in the demon Saint Heavenly City or great powerhouses with exceedingly high cultivation. Of course, with Zhuowen's identity, as long as he sent a message to the Spirit Phoenix Trading Company's Bailey Jingluan, then Bailey Jingluan would immediately arrange a VIP seat for him. However, Yuan didn't plan to do that. His only purpose in coming here was the item that could weaken the Blight Tribulation in this auction. At this moment, the huge main hall was practically packed with people. It was bustling with activity, and there wasn't even the slightest bit of extra space. Zhuowen frowned. The environment of this main hall was too bad, but he had no choice, and could only endure it for now. At the same time, his divine sense also swept out and swept through the entire auction site. He discovered that most of the VIP seats in this auction house were half-step shattering heaven-tier cultivators. Although Zhuowen's divine sense was extremely unbridled, his spirit was too powerful and had long reached the peak of the fifth blight. If he didn't want others to discover him, there really wasn't anyone in this part of the galaxy who could discover his divine sense probing. Great Guardian? All of a sudden, Zhuowen's divine sense stopped at one of the VIP seats. In this VIP seat, he actually saw a familiar red-faced old man. It was the great enforcer of the Demon Saint Palace. What surprised Zhuowen even more was that the Great Guardian wasn't the only one in the VIP seats. There were two other figures as well. Zhuowen didn't recognize these two figures. They were a middle-aged man with dark eyes and a young man with a pale face. Moreover, the young man was seated at the head of the VIP seats while the Great Protector stood beside the young man. His expression was cautious and his eyes were filled with respect. This great enforcer is second only to the Eastern Emperor Tai Yi in the Demon Saint Palace. His authority is monstrous, so why would he be so respectful to an ordinary-looking young man? Zhuowen was flabbergasted, feeling incredulous. Suddenly, Zhuowen discovered that the young man, who had been motionless, suddenly opened his eyes. A strange light burst out from his eyes. In this strange light, Zhuowen's divine sense was greatly shaken, as if it had been firmly grasped by some invisible hand. Zhuowen's heart trembled and he hurriedly withdrew his divine sense. However, his expression didn't look too good. This pale-faced young man was definitely not a simple person. He seemed to have noticed his divine sense. Fortunately, Zhuowen withdrew his divine sense in time, so although the young man had noticed his divine sense, it was unrealistic for him to find the source of his divine sense. Zhuowen's heart was full of doubts. Just who was this young man that he could make the number 2 figure of the Demon Saint Palace be so cautious and respectful? What made Zhuowen even more curious was that the young man was actually able to notice the scanning of his divine sense. Such ability was absolutely extraordinary. At the very least, Zhuowen felt that no one in the starry sky could easily detect the tracks of his divine sense. However, this young man was able to detect something was wrong in such a short time. This made Zhuowen extremely wary. At this moment, in the VIP seats where the Chief Guardian was, the pale-faced young man frowned slightly. His gaze fell on the hall below as if he was searching for something. "Young Master Su Yuan, what's wrong?" The Chief Guardian asked in a deep voice when he saw the young man frown slightly as if he had something on his mind. "Nothing, I must have been thinking too much just now." The young man shook his head. He had just sensed a divine sense fluctuation pass by the VIP seats, but now that he carefully sensed it, he couldn't find anything. He even suspected that it was an illusion. "Chief Guardian, will there really be a profound sky-sea settling vine this time?" the young man asked lazily. The Chief Guardian smiled and said, "Young Master Su Yuan, don't worry. According to reliable news, the profound sky-sea settling vine will indeed appear in this auction. This news is absolutely true. The profound sky-sea settling vine is a supreme treasure of heaven and earth that can weaken the Blight Tribulation. If I can obtain this profound sky-sea settling vine, I won't have to fear the 4th Blight Tribulation. I can immediately transcend the tribulation and advance to the supreme 4th Blight realm." The young man's eyes were bright, and his voice was filled with fervor. The auction was finally about to begin amidst the hubbub of bustling voices. Jun didn't expect the host of this auction to be Spirit Phoenix trading firm's Bailey Chioling. He had to admit that Bailey Chioling was very eloquent. When she introduced the auction items, her expression and actions were perfect, attracting the gazes and thoughts of many cultivators. The first treasure is the early-stage Ascension Realm Divine Pill, the 7 Profound Meridian Connecting Pill. This pill's greatest effect is to help cultivators at the early-stage Ascension Realm and below clear the impurities in their meridians and expel them from the body. Thus, their meridians will be unblocked and their cultivation speed will be significantly increased. It's a rare divine pill. Bailey Chioling began to introduce the first auction item. As soon as she finished, the sound of bidding immediately rang out in the hall, rising and falling one after another. It was very lively. In the end, the 7 Profound Meridian Connecting Pill was sold for 1,300,000 high-grade Heavenly Tao Origin crystals. It was sold to an early-stage Ascension Realm cultivator in the hall. Jun shook his head inwardly. This 7 Profound Meridian Connecting Pill was only an early-stage Ascension Realm Divine Pill, and its value was at most 700,000 to 800,000 high-grade Heavenly Tao Origin crystals. Now that it was auctioned, its value doubled. This was simply a huge profit. The following auction proceeded in an orderly manner. Many good items appeared, causing the crowd to boil with excitement, and the sound of bidding continued. Zhuoan, on the other hand, didn't bid from beginning to end. He had countless Heavenly Tao Origin crystals on him, but he didn't plan to participate in the auction. He wanted to wait for the mysterious item that could weaken the Blight Tribulation to appear. His main goal in this auction was to obtain that item. In fact, during the auction, a half-step Heaven Breaker cultivation method appeared. Although it was somewhat incomplete, it still caused an uproar in the hall. Those in the VIP seats who had been silent all this time also began to participate in the auction, and the price of the half-step Heaven Breaker cultivation method was raised to an extremely terrifying height. The auction was quickly approaching its end. Suddenly, a palm-sized bronze cauldron appeared on the center stage. Chapter 3542. Soul-nourishing pot. Bailey Chioling held the cauldron and asked mysteriously, "Everyone, do you know the origin of this cauldron?" Bailey Chioling's question piqued everyone's curiosity. Many of them asked what was so special about the little cauldron. This cauldron was once used by the Pill Array Immortal Lord to refine divine pills. It's called the Minor Immortal Lord Cauldron. Its value is immeasurable and it has great collection value, Bailey Chioling said calmly. The Immortal Lord Cauldron? No way, isn't it always in the Pill Array Immortal City? How could it be here? I was lucky enough to see it with my own eyes. It was so majestic that the world changed colors. How could it be like this? Someone in the auction house questioned Bailey Chioling, thinking that she was fooling them. Bailey Chioling didn't panic. She smiled and said, "Didn't I tell you? It's called the Minor Immortal Lord Cauldron. You may not know, but this cauldron was used by the Pill Array Immortal Lord in his early years before he became famous. It's broken and can't be used now, but it has immeasurable collection value. If that fellow Taoist is interested, you can auction it off and keep it as a collection. The starting bid is 1 million high-grade Heavenly Law Origin crystals. Each bid must be at least 10,000. Bailey Chioling's smile was a little awkward. She didn't understand. Although this was a cauldron used by the Pill Array Immortal Lord, it was still something he used in his early years. Moreover, it was so broken that it was almost useless. There was no other use for it except as a collection. She didn't want to auction it off or even lower the price, but the auctioneer clearly asked for this price. This made her feel a little helpless. As soon as Bailey Chioling finished speaking, the entire auction house was terrifyingly quiet. No one bid at all. The cultivators who came here were not fools. Naturally, they came to the auction house to buy something useful for their cultivation. This cauldron was so broken that it could only be used as a collection. Spending more than 1 million high-grade Heavenly Law Origin crystals just to buy a collectible was a little too extravagant. Bailey Chioling's expression became more and more awkward when no one bid.
Her smile was a little forced. 1,010,000. Just when Bailey Chioling thought that no one would bid for the cauldron, a calm and hoarse voice rang out. Everyone's gazes converged on the owner of the bidding voice at this moment. They discovered that it was a middle-aged man with a yellow face. He was very unremarkable, and even his cultivation was very ordinary. Is there something wrong with this guy's head? He's giving away money to the auction house. This kind of useless thing has to be auctioned off. At the scene, there were many people who were secretly laughing at this yellow-faced middle-aged man. This yellow-faced middle-aged man was Jun in disguise. His spiritual force was far more powerful than anyone present. Even Su Yuan's spiritual force couldn't compare to Zhuowen's. Therefore, when the small bronze cauldron was taken out, he had already investigated it thoroughly. This small bronze cauldron was indeed broken enough. It was almost impossible to refine a divine pill. Other than being ornamental, it was really useless. However, Yun discovered a very obscure restriction inside the small cauldron. The restriction was very weak. Even an ordinary half-step divine formation master might not be able to detect it. Moreover, this small bronze cauldron had something to do with the formation pill master. Therefore, Yun made up his mind to bid for the cauldron. He suspected that this small bronze cauldron must contain the secret of the formation pill master. He didn't want to let go of this possibility. As soon as Zhuowen's voice fell, almost no one bid. Zhuowen easily obtained the small bronze cauldron. After taking the small bronze cauldron, he didn't rush to undo the restriction inside the cauldron. Instead, he put it away and continued to wait in the auction house. Following that, the auction house brought out more and more precious items, and the bidding became more and more intense. In particular, many important figures in the VIP seats began to bid one after another. Clearly, even these important figures were tempted by the later items. On the other hand, although there were many Monster Clan cultivators in the main hall and it was almost crowded, they all ceased bidding and didn't participate in the bidding for the later items. They also knew that the items that appeared in the later stages of the auction were too precious. The prices were also frighteningly high. It was not something they could afford. Therefore, compared to the heated bidding in the VIP seats, the spacious main hall was much quieter. This is the soul-nourishing pot. It's an ancient artifact. It contains a mysterious power that can nourish the soul. It has unimaginable benefits for the soul. Although it has been here for countless years and is now broken, it still has great benefits for the soul. The starting price of the soul-nourishing pot is 10 million heavenly law origin crystals. Each bid must not be lower than 100,000. The bidding starts now. Bailey Chioling took out a green porcelain pot. The surface of the pot was surging with misty green qi. The moment Zhuowen looked at the soul-nourishing pot, his eyes lit up. Such an item that nourished the soul was extremely rare. To think that such an item would be auctioned in this auction. Zhuowen possessed the tyrannical soul sword intent, a spirit attack technique. However, every time he condensed the soul sword intent, it would cause great damage to his soul. Even though his soul was modified by the primordial stone and became much stronger than before, the soul sword intent still caused great damage to his soul. He urgently needed some method to recover his soul. And this soul-nourishing pot was clearly suitable for his current situation. The moment the soul-nourishing pot appeared, those important figures in the VIP seats opened their mouths to bid. The price of the soul-nourishing pot was pushed to 20 million heavenly law origin crystals. The speed of this increase made everyone click their tongues. Zhuowen did not bid immediately. He was waiting for the right opportunity. When the price rose to 25 million, the bidding voices clearly quieted down. Clearly, the price of the soul-nourishing pot rising to such an extent already exceeded the budget of most cultivators. 30 million heavenly law origin crystals. This seat is the Wanzhong Poison King. I hope that fellow Taoists can give this soul-nourishing pot to this seat on account of my face. A dark and cold voice suddenly sounded from one of the VIP seats. The originally bidding voices also suddenly came to a halt. Clearly, there were quite a number of people in the other VIP seats who were extremely afraid of this so-called Wanzhong Poison King. It's actually the Wanzhong Poison King. This is the itinerant cultivator that's the hardest to provoke in the demon region. It's said that he's already second blight cultivation. Plus, he doesn't belong to any sect, so he doesn't have to worry about consequences at all when doing things. Whoever provokes this person will deal a killing blow to their juniors. He's a vicious and merciless half-step heaven-breaking realm powerhouse who stops at nothing. The surrounding people were quietly discussing, their expressions reverent. Zhuowen's eyes flickered, and he suddenly opened his mouth to bid. 1 million. The moment these words came out, the gazes of all the cultivators in the entire auction house landed on Zhuowen in the hall. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.